This program features live coverage of an African safari and may include animal kills and carcasses. Viewer discretion is advised.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Djuma in the Sabi Sands, South Africa, where it is still dark and we are shrouded with clouds. And good morning, my name is Steve. I'm joined on camera by Craig. And what a beautiful morning. It's 21 degrees Celsius, 70 degrees Fahrenheit. There's a little bit of something going on there. We don't know what, but we're going to go see what we can find. Please don't forget you can interact with us live on #SafariLive, as well as on the on the YouTube chat stream. Don't forget the all-important FC. Jump on board. Let's go and see what we can find. Now, Tristan reckons Hosana was hunting last night on his way back to his house, so he might be with something around that area. We're going to see what tracks we can find. Tristan's going to be out on bushwalk shortly, and obviously I am not on bushwalk, but we're going to give each other a hand. And there's lots of impala. A little bit far off, we've got the IR light on at the moment because, well, it's very dark, in fact. And that you can tell is testament of the overcast conditions. So, but it's going to brighten up shortly. But it poses to be a very nice day. Good morning, everybody. But we came onto quarantine and we initially thought it looked very quiet from an animal point of view. And then we found a whole herd of impala just sort of chilling there. So I think if Hosana is around, he is not right here. But Tristan's given me some advice where he would like me to go and check. And then obviously when they get on foot, once it's a little bit brighter, it's not very safe to be walking in the darkness. So once I put my spotlight away and the lights come off, then the bushwalk team will most likely depart. Until then, you're stuck with me for the moment. Okay, here we've got some tracks. Is that a leopard or is that a hyena? Linda, you've got your tea and snacks. Well, very good. Welcome on board. Oh, that's a hyena track busy running. Apparently there was some hyena at the dam calling an hour or so ago. So we know how many times have they led us to an animal? Many, many times. Many times. I mean, just the other day, they led me to Tingana. It was very random. We were following hyenas thinking, oh, these hyenas are going to show us a new den site. Okay, beautiful, beautiful, beautiful male leopard tracks here in the road. Going straight down. Now you can probably just see them off my shoulder here. I might need, yeah, here we go. A bit more left, Craigie. Here we go. There they are. Beautiful male leopard tracks. You can see he's walking just a bit faster than a stork. You can see where this is the front foot and there's the back foot just in front. And I'm not going to tell you that this is Hosana or Tingana. It could be either one. But I'm going to assume due to the proximity to where Tristan saw him last night, this is most likely him. And this is the road Tristan asked me to check. This is Wahlberg's Nest. It runs sort of down towards Twin Dams Road. And let's go see if we can find the little chief. I'm guessing it's the little chief. I remember that one day I was tracking. Okay, so there he goes. He's gone in. Okay, so from the tracks here, whoever it was has gone and rubbed his face in the bush and done a bit of a urine spray. And you can tell that by the fact that the tracks go across like this into the bush and then turn and come back again. So that's a characteristic sort of behavior of a territorial cat. Sorry, that goes like that all the way to there, and then it comes across. And he'd be rubbing his face, turning and spraying, something that we are seeing Hosana do. Now he's scent marking within his dad's territory, so he needs to be careful because, well, how long will Tingana stand for Hosana playing around like this? For now, he seems to be just okay. I think the day he starts calling is the day he's going to get into trouble. But anyway, while we try to follow these tracks down the road, let's go all the way up to the Masai Mara, where Isaac has already found himself some predators.
Hello and good morning. We are in the Masai Mara, the Mara Triangle in the Masai Mara. My name is Isaac Rotich, and behind me on camera is Bungei. And with us, our trusted friend, Kito, who has stayed outside, but he's all fine. Everything has started on high note once again. It's quite chilly, but everybody is out. We just came across the Ololo Pride. They were just around camp, and they have decided to leave camp. They're headed down to below the escarpment, and I don't know what they're up to. They're all here, 11 strong, and we don't know where the others are, but they are very, very hungry. Since they ate a buffalo, which is about 5 days, they haven't eaten. In case you didn't join us before, this is the Ololo Pride, and about 5 days ago, they ate a buffalo. They haven't eaten since then. They are very hungry. They were hunting all over camp, and right now, I would say they're hunting. There is a few buffalo ahead of me here, and I can hear some noises. Let me try and get forward. I don't know if the buffalo are trying to chase them. Bungay? There's something happening. Oh, the buffaloes are coming for them. The buffaloes are coming for their blood. I can see some black. Yeah. Yeah, the buffaloes are chasing them. See the buffaloes? They're chasing the lions. We can't see the lions now. They've all disappeared. Oh, there is one here. Yeah, it's all have started. I don't know what's happening. That one is moving in. We don't know what might happen. They've gone to my left. I can't see them, but they're hungry. We know they've killed buffalo before, but this time the buffaloes are chasing them. I don't know if they're going to turn around and try and hunt one. This is a bachelor herd, which is just a group of buffalo who hang around here. I didn't hear that question. Please repeat again. My mic was distorted a little bit, but I can hear you. Could you repeat again? But yes, that is true. They don't go down easy. They always fight back. When I see a buffalo going down, being eaten, I always know that it didn't go down easy. They've disappeared on me, and I can't see any. So let me try and go down there and give you exactly what's happening, because it could be interesting than what we see. It's still dark. We are on infrared lights, and I can't see. And also, I'm using my spotlight to find animals. The buffalo is right here. The lioness. I see just one, and there's a buffalo. There's one buffalo I see here. I don't see the lionesses yet. There's one buffalo. Remember, it's not easy for the lions to bring down a buffalo. The buffaloes usually do fight, and this is the case here. You can tell the big boys are here. I'm trying to see if I can find the lions where they've been chased to. Oh, they're all here. Good. Looks like something interesting might happen. They're all here, the buffaloes. I don't know what will happen, but let's see. See the lions? They're all here. It's all exciting now. Well, the tables can turn here. The lions can't decide, to go for one. Nielezea vile anasema ni kisangine napoteza. Yeah, the lions are behind the buffaloes. There's a standstill. I don't know how long it will last, but it is all exciting and happening. This is SafariLive. Remember, this is a live broadcast, and this is happening now. We just started, and everything is happening super fast. I don't know what's going to happen, but I'm just here and hoping, the lions will get a meal. I feel sorry for the buffalo, but the lions have to eat. The standstill is still there. I don't see very many lions at the moment. I don't know which side they are, but sometimes it starts slow like this, then it escalates and goes very fast, unless the lions have given up, because I don't see any, but I don't know their strategy. But this is one big herd of, bachelor buffalo. Looks like they have relaxed. Cindy, you asked me about the lioness that was injured. I haven't seen her for about 48 hours. She seemed fine. She was catching up with the rest. This morning, it's still very early. I can't tell if she's here, but she was fine last time I saw her. I don't see the lions. Oh, the lions are way back there. Behind those buffalo, when they go past, if they peep, you'll see the lions down there. Yeah, the one thing I like about buffalo is that they will gang up and try and defend themselves. You see the lion, there's a lion over there. I don't know where it's headed. Looks like it's not interested. I'm not sure what is happening. Looks like they might decide not to go for buffalo this morning, because that one is actually heading quite way inside the bush. Yeah, this was a big herd of buffalo, and maybe they've decided it was too much for them. I still see him going farther and farther. So I don't know what decision has been made. We have a few more to the right, headed to the right, quite a long way down. Somewhere down there I did see one. Yeah, I can see a faint, on top of the buffalo, you can see a faint light. That is a lioness walking. Well, that was very exciting. And I think you can tell the buffaloes are relaxing, which means I think the threat is almost over. I'm going to try and go forward a little bit more, maybe get closer to the buffaloes so I can have a better look of the lions. And if they are still around, I'm going to back up. Yes, and while I go forward, I'll link you to my friend Steve, who's looking, I think, for Shana down in Juma in Greater Kruger, all the way in South Africa.
Thanks, Isaac. How fantastic. I was just telling Craig, that's one of the things that I've really been wanting to see. I didn't get to see it in the Mara, although Isaac's getting to see it often, even though he might not be seeing the whole action. Lions hunting buffalo. Seems to be something I've always missed. Other places I've worked in the past, lions were experts at giraffe, experts at all sorts of things, but not buffalo. So there's definitely like a level that they have to upgrade to with regards to experience before they can tackle such an animal. Some lions just don't know how to do it. I was up there with the Olololo Pride, the base of the escarpment once, and all the youngsters decided they wanted to chase a herd of buffalo, but it was a little bit of a joke, in fact. They chased him down into the ravine, and then that's when I think the buffalo realized these are just young boys, and they turned and chased them back. It was quite comical. Very, very comical. And that was the end of that hunt. Okay, here we go. Here are his tracks going up here again. He came through that side. Now it seems like his tracks are coming back up the road straight towards camp. Just going to make a mark over here so that we can follow up. Excuse me while I just stick my foot off the vehicle. I just scratch a little mark around it so you know that you've seen the track, and then you can always come back to it if need be. And then also Tristan will know what I've seen. So I think that was his tracks coming through, and then he came this way and he's come back up again. Classic example of a leopard hunting. Child of the universe, did you say Hosanna tried to stalk buffalo? If that's what you said, I remember it quite well. Scott was on foot, and Taylor came racing in thinking lions would chase in the buffalo. There was this here by Treehouse Dam. I was on the other vehicle. Very comical indeed. I think he's had some buffalo before, so he's developed a bit of a taste for it. And now, well, he just follows them around. I think he thinks it's a game. I think he hopes he can catch one. He's such a silly dude, isn't he? Such a silly dude, but we do love him. And I wouldn't mind finding him this morning, but it seems like his tracks have gone back that way. So in this area here, he does love to spend a lot of time. There's always lots of animals coming through. So I'm just doing a bit of a circle again just to see if any more tracks. Kind of like a daily process, folks, when it comes to the tracking in the morning. It's a good time to read the newspaper, as you were, the newspaper in the sand, and to ascertain where the animals have gone. And it's a nice challenge for the brain. Yesterday I challenged myself, and I was actually very happy when I found the Unkuhumas after a very long morning of trying. Challenge accepted and achieved. It's always nice when you do happen to find the animal through tracks. It's one of those sort of developments of the scientific brain, the ability to analyze what an animal is doing by its foot on the ground, and then ascertain what is it doing, what's in the area. There's water, there's food. He went this way, went that way. Well, it seems like he's gone off sort of in that direction. So I'm going to, before I disturb the ground anymore, and let the bushwalk team come in and take it from where the last spot is that I saw. But on that note, it seems like the bushwalk team has got the go-ahead with the light, and Tristan has really got some tracks on the ground.
Well, Steve, unfortunately, I think we're way ahead of you already in the tracking exercise, because we found tracks a long way from where you are at the moment. And so the tracks for Hosanna have gone what seems to have done a massive, massive loop around sort of Inga's, past Vuatella, and they're now coming up right towards camp, basically. So he's kind of going along, and it looks like he's going to cross towards sort of Gallego Pan. Now, of course, I need to say good morning to all of you before we delve too deep into all of this. My name is Tristan. On camera, I've got David this morning, and hopefully you're going to enjoy yourselves with us as we go on walk. But essentially what Hassan has done is he's done his normal kind of walk. He's come over this direction and is heading basically towards the tent, and then from the tent he crosses over a drainage line and he goes off in towards Gallego. Now we know it's Hosanna. I know Steve was saying he wasn't really sure, but we saw Hosanna exactly where Steve picked up the tracks to start with last night on our way home. Our expeditions guests arrived yesterday, and so we went and joined them for dinner, and we kind of went home at about 10ish. And we found Hosanna kind of on the road hunting. Now, to tell that it's, a leopard is, we might as well just get into these. I'm just using my phone because it's much easier to give you guys a bit more definition within this track. But essentially, you can see quite clearly, which is nice when you got the phone kind of adding an extra light. This shadowing that you see over here, you can see 1, 2, 3 shadows, which gives you the 3 lobes. So that's already tells you cat straight away. Then you've got the toes in front with no claws, so that already rules out cheetah. And then the sort of shape of this, you can see this track is very, very round in its nature. Something like a lioness, which of this size, you'd find the track would be a little bit more elongated. It would probably finish slightly further forward, and the distance between that pad and those toes on a lioness is a little bit further. With male lions and male leopards, these side toes here sit much lower down and kind of cut the track almost in half, the bottom part of the toe. And so that's how you can kind of tell. The other thing is that the edge of the track forms a much more rounded sort of lobe than what you see on a female sheep tends to have a lot more of an angular track. Either way though, these tracks are pretty good, so I'm pretty sure if we follow them through, maybe we'll get lucky and find him at Gallagher Pan. That's what I'm hoping for. He was very hungry yesterday, so I'm sure he's looking for food. Now, Costa, how can we tell where tracks begin? Well, Costa, I mean, it's always tricky. You know that animals can loop and go around one and kind of cross over and come back on themselves. But essentially, what we're going off is the fact that last night I followed him during the course of the evening onto quarantine. So we know where we left him at 7:30. We left him in the middle of quarantine, sleeping next to a termite mound. By 10 o'clock, he was on the other side of quarantine, the southern side, where we saw him, and he at that stage hadn't come this direction at all. So he hadn't come this way, which means that these tracks can only be after the time that I saw him there. So that's the last position we know is where Steve had the tracks, and now we found these tracks which were not here yesterday, and you can see they're on top of all the vehicles besides Steve's, and that means that he walked here during the course of the nights between 10 o'clock and basically 4 o'clock, which was when we kind of came into camp this morning. So he's moved in that time, and that's why we know this is the fresher track, is because we've picked it up quite far from where Steve initially picked up his tracks, which is on the other side of where we are at the moment. And so that's kind of one way. You can also look at track freshness. So if you look and you see there's indication of millipedes kind of crossing, or I suppose millipedes are not a good example because they come out during the day, but something like civet, hyena, scorpion, if they go over the top, then you know those were early evening, and you've got to try and start looking for ones that have got a nice, clean, fresh sort of look to them, and that there's no sort of track over the top. So that's what you kind of aim for when you do these kind of things, and that can always help indicate exactly where the kind of track goes and how fresh they are and where to start. Often you'll find sometimes when you work with guys like Herbie, who obviously are incredibly talented trackers, they'll look at the tracks and they'll say, no, these are not the tracks we need to follow, these are not right, and they'll then kind of get you onto more fresh tracks, and then you'll go. Anyway, we're going to keep going, we're going to see where these take us. In the meantime though, we're going to send you back across to Steve, who's doing a spot of birding.
Welcome back, oh no, it's gone. It's at the tree at the back there, Craig. You can still see it. Yeah, middle of the screen. We found these two fork-tailed drongos going absolutely crazy, and look what we found. We found a little baby, probably one that's just recently fledged. You see, he's still looking a little bit downy on the. Oopsie, there he goes. He's looking a little bit downy, a little bit white. He's following mum and dad through the bushes. They've been what we call hawking. When they sit in the branch, they fly down and catch. They're being very vocal. I thought they were maybe upset at an owl or something, and then the juvenile came and joined them and is doing the same thing. It's learning probably early stages of how to hunt. I thought it was very cool, but no, it's gone. Oh, there's another fork-tailed drongo landed on the end there, Craigo. Oh, they are being very, very flighty this morning, but very vocal. I wonder if you can hear them making lots of whistling sounds. That was super cool. I don't think I've ever seen a very, very young one like that, with sort of just quite pale on the head. I think you saw that. Yay, that was cool. Well, it wasn't an owl. It was just mum and dad taking Junior for a spin. Imagine the first time you can come out to the nest. You've been fed the whole time. Your parents are bringing you food, and then suddenly you get to go out. But not only any bird, you go out as a fork-tailed drongo. All the birds you come across just really immediately have respect for you. That must be so cool. But anyway, continue as we do. We'll leave Tristan with those tracks because it's very difficult to track any further. We're just going to drive all over them. So we'll let him do the hard work. The bushwalk team is so good at that, finding the leopards. And we'll go and do a quick little, not boundary patrol, but a dam excursion. Go and see how the water's looking and see who else is about. Obviously, we're always looking for tracks on the road. And as soon as someone else becomes mobile in the reserve, we'll be able to communicate so we can maximize search area. Teresa, you want me to help you build your bird list? Well, I think we can do that. Craig is an expert bird film maker. Are you not, Craigo? Yeah, he says it's okay. Craig is pretty good at getting the feathered friends on camera. So let's do that, Teresa. We'll see what birds we can get on. And we'll try and also focus on some of the special migratory birds because, well, in the next few months, they're going to be gone. So let's get them out the way, shall we? Yes? Remember in the Mara, I think I got 4 rollers that one day. Everybody was very excited. I was very excited seeing 4 different rollers. Did I see 4? Am I talking nonsense now? I think I saw 3. I wanted to see 4. There was no racket tail and there was no broad-billed roller. That would be something. I haven't seen a broad-bill in a couple of years now. Broad-bill roller. Those of you who've never seen one before, let me just get it for you on my bird app. It is a very, very cool bird. It's important to drive slowly, folks, in the morning. Having a little look around, you never know. It is very cool. Craig was just commenting on how nice the temperature was. A nice bit of respite for our January. I can't believe how cool the last week or so in January has been. Okay, so there was some buffalo here 2 days back. That's what brought the Unkuhuma pride in. Here we go. Here is the beautiful, beautiful broad-billed roller. Look at that guy. Doesn't even look real, does he? Beautiful. And like all the rollers, very similar in shape and design. But let's have a listen, shall we? Because it's got quite a characteristic call. They all sound like that. So Brent saw one by the dam cam not so long ago, 2 years ago. That's very cool. There's nothing stopping them from coming here. I just haven't seen one. I haven't seen one here. They're breeding migrant. They're not here all the time. I've seen them in the Kruger and far northern Kruger, but I've never seen one on the Sabi Sands. But like I said, they do come and go, just like the Carmine bee-eaters could also materialize, but that would be nice to see them. But let's see what birds we can get for you there, Teresa. When it's a little bit overcast like this, it's quite tricky to actually spot the birds because the light is just not really there. But anyway, while we try to find you some birds and we continue the never-ending search for tracks, let's go back up to the Mara with Isaac and the Olololo Pride.
Well, it is like magic. We saw them, it got very exciting. They went down the gully and they have disappeared on me. For me, I cannot believe this because I have lost them completely. They went into the bushes and it was abracadabra, voila, gone. I feel like I'm in a magic show. Very confused of exactly how I could lose 11 fully grown lions. Anyway, that won't stop me from looking for something else. I'm headed down here. The weather is beautiful here. It's around 18 degrees Celsius, around 61 Fahrenheit, and it is beautiful. The smells are here. It's all fresh. And we're headed down. Our aim is to go towards the Risha, but we're going to try and wander around here a little bit. We're gonna hang around this area a little bit and see what's gonna happen. Well, yesterday, if you joined me, you remember we saw that that pride of lions, and there were 3 very healthy cubs, but there was one that nobody could see. I left there around 9 o'clock. I don't know what time we said goodbye to you. I left around 9:30, and it was still calling. I tried to drive the vehicle very close, and the mom came very fast for me, and I thought it wasn't the right day to go, so I left. I'm hoping to go there this afternoon, so if you stick around, we might find exactly what's going on. But it was a rather sad situation, because now I believe Miti had 4, but she's taking care of 3 and not really very keen on 1. which is typical with some lion mothers when it's their first or second bath. It does happen like that. She's not very experienced. And usually she chooses to try and take care of the most strongest, because for her also the strongest are the ones that are willing to survive, so she takes care of that. I had read that before, but now the books are proving to me that, it does happen. It is still quite dark. It is dawn, actually. Yeah, we're heading down here, see what we can find. I'll link you down to my colleague Tristan. I don't know what he's up to. And I'll be around here looking for something for you guys.
Well, Isaac, don't worry. These things happen where animals just disappear under your nose and can be quite tricky to find them again. It's amazing how in the Mara the lions can just kind of lie down and they're gone. So I understand Isaac's kind of frustration as to where they've gone. Anyway, we're sitting here looking at something that we see, regularly in terms of on walk, but very seldom, I suppose, do we sit and actually discuss it quite in depth. But essentially, it's a pile of poo. That's pretty stock standard for a day in a Wild Earth presenter's shoes, is that you look at poo at some point during the course of your day. But this poo is quite a nice one because it can show us all kinds of interesting things. So it's made by a nocturnal creature, and one that is of the few that can actually feed off millipedes. And you know that these millipedes have been fed on because all of these little white sort of things. I'm going to try see if I can pick one up. There we go. Oh no, David, I've dropped it. Oh no, hold on, David. It's not playing the game here. Stay there. But there we go. There's a little ring, which is a segment of a millipede that has been eaten by this creature, and so there's very few animals that can actually metabolize the traces of cyanide that are within this millipede's system. And so scorpions are one. You'll find scorpions will go after these guys quite a lot, especially Episticanthus liverpes. They love a scorpion, and you'll often find where they are scorpions in that area. But this is not made by a scorpion. If a scorpion had to defecate this size poo, well, we'd all be in trouble because they'd probably be eating people if they were defecating this size. So it's not from them. And really the only other animal that actually feeds on these guys extensively is civets. And so obviously this is from a civet. But what's interesting about this is that you can tell the time of the year based on what you actually see within a civet's dung. Now, civets are omnivorous, so they'll eat millipedes and insects, but they'll also eat certain fruits. But now at this time of the year, there's been a massive explosion, obviously, of millipedes. And the other thing that we've got a massive explosion on is these guys. So I'm just going to try and see if I can leverage that out. So you see a wing structure over here, and then a bit of an exoskeleton there. And so these are for dung beetles, and this is where this guy's eaten a whole bunch of dung beetles. Here's another bit of the wing and exoskeleton on this side. Sorry, David, I'm trying to get it. You got it there. All right, so there's another one that makes up this. And so what probably has happened with this particular millipede is that it must have been feeding, in all likelihood, around a rhino midden. And so you would say, why would it be feeding around a rhino midden? Well, the presence of dung beetles and millipedes is a very, very, very usual thing to find around rhino middens. They have obviously a lot of material for those animals to go and try and kind of digest and feed on, and that in turn then attracts something like a civet. And so this civet would probably have rooted around. There's a few other little insects that are inside here, but mostly dung beetles and millipedes form the bulk of this particular defecation. Now, what we don't see inside here, which is quite interesting, is that there's no vegetation at all. And so this is probably, because of the age of this particular poo, it's quite old. It was prior to the real good rains and any of the fruits that have come through. Since then, we probably find more kind of fresher civet dungs that will have a few of the white berries in them, or potentially some of the berries that come off a buffalo thorn. You often see those in civets too. But amazing kind of to dig around, and you can actually tell exactly what this guy was eating. The other thing that was interesting about this is how the exoskeletons of the animals that it was eating don't digest. So it gives you an idea of just how tough the chitin content within an exoskeleton is, and how difficult it is for these animals to actually digest it. Good. Now we haven't really gotten very far with our Hosanna tracking. We've been looking at all kinds of things and talking about all the funny kind of things that happened yesterday with Hosanna, because he really did entertain us yesterday during the rehearsal. We had the most epic sighting of him. He firstly stalked scrub hare and chased the scrub hare right at us. It was really cool. He kind of ran towards the car. The scrub hare in front of him just missed that. Then he was up on every single tree he could kind of find that had been fallen over, posing on those. There was a bull elephant that was around that he was watching for a while. Then he was stalking impalas, and so he was just kind of in his most clown mode yesterday. And obviously during school drive he played with the tortoise, and I was telling David I felt sorry for the tortoise, because when we left he played with it and he had left it eventually on its back. So normally obviously a tortoise sits like this with the sort of dome part of its shell on top, particularly in the leopard tortoise case, but he had left it this way around, so the poor tortoise was like teetering on the top of its shell. And so I hope that that tortoise was able to wiggle itself back upright again, but otherwise it was going to be like this, and well, it might have to wait now for another unsuspecting leopard to come up along and turn it the right way around. But Hosanna left it like that and thought he was quite proud of his work actually, and then kind of ran down the mound and off he went and left the poor tortoise to linger like that. So if we have time and we head in that direction, we'll go and see if we can maybe go and right the tortoise and get it onto its side, or onto its tummy, so it can start to walk. But it was quite funny just watching him. It was in full clown mode yesterday afternoon, chasing starlings and franklins and scrub hares and not just about anything that he could see in his sight. So hopefully this morning we'll be able to find him doing the same thing again. In the meantime though, we've been doing tracking and signs, and sounds like Steve is doing the same.
Welcome back everybody. Well, we have found tracks now of what I believe to be Tingana coming from Twin Dams where he was seen last night. And let me just talk on the radio quickly. Stand by, Jos, I'll be with you in a moment. He's heading straight up Twin Dams Road and towards Chelapan in the heart of Djuma. You can see his tracks here. And there's the back foot, front foot, off he goes. So he's going back in the direction we've just come from. We also found tracks of a female leopard going in the same direction. So is the love affair going to continue? Hosanna, yes, he's a cheeky boy. Okay, I'm going to go around into the drainage to see where these tracks go. They are heading in the direction of camp as well, but they probably will cut through into the drainage itself. I'm just going to come around and see on this side of here. Lots of oxpeckers on this side. So lots of oxpeckers often means herds of giraffe or herds of buffalo. Not really sure. These animals just come and go. Bearing in mind we have no fences here, folks. The animals just come in. And, well, as we've seen, they're generally followed by some lions and by Hosanna from time to time. As we said before, he likes to chase them. We're just going to come around and have a little look. There we go. Those did look like fresh buffalo tracks. A huge herd of buffalo was here yesterday. Not yesterday, before. Those tracks, they look a lot fresher than what I've been looking at. Heading down into the drainage. It's always nice to know and let the bushwalk team know if there are buffalo on the property. It's that one animal that you just really need to be careful of, especially when the bush is so thick like this. So dense you can't see very far. Giraffe girl, did that your ear prick up when you heard me say giraffe? I did indeed say giraffe. Oxpeckers, when you hear them fly off in a flurry, it's very often because of either buffalo or giraffe, or even rhino sometimes. So it could be any of those, to be honest. So my unit tracks going through there. We're just going to come down into the drainage, have a little look-see. It might start losing a little bit of signal though, Kirsty, so just need to just double-check that. Who knows, on the other side will be fine, but just as we go into the thickets here, it gets a little bit denser, a little bit less signal-prone, should I say. We're going to risk it. Percy says we're going to risk it. And we are on Wendy today, so I don't know the difference in strengths between these two vehicles. Rusty, Wendy, and Jigger. Jigger seems to be performing quite well. Okay, let's just have a little listen, shall we? See where we heard those birds coming from. Early in the morning as well, the oxpeckers are looking for a host, or should I say for an animal to land on. So sometimes they can be a really good sort of direction, especially in areas where you have high densities of buffalo. I've found and saved my life many times by just hearing that. Not a very good rendition of an oxpecker call there. Now they've gone quiet. But like the rollers, oxpeckers will nest in tree cavities created by woodpeckers and barbets. And so they might have just been sleeping and then headed off looking for some food. Well, we're going to keep having a look. Well, there's one animal that does not like oxpeckers. Up in the Masai Mara, Isaac has relocated his lions.
Well, I have left that area where the lions had disappeared on me, and I have come down the Laga to see if I can find the lioness with the 3 cubs, but she's not also home. It's about sunrise, and the view from where I am is what you see on camera. It looks like it's cloudy somewhere. Somebody might get some rain for breakfast. But of where I am, it is very, very beautiful. I don't know if you can hear the sounds of bird. I'll go quiet for 5 seconds. I hope you can hear what I'm hearing. Yes, that's the sound of the birds chirping and chattering and waking up to the beautiful Masai Mara. I think all those are the survivors of the night, and they're happy to be alive. The view is to the east over this way, and I don't know if we're gonna have a nice sunrise, but Bunke is gonna give you that lovely view down there. All the trees you see are Balanitis aegyptica and the desert date. They produce dates that are edible to baboons, elephants, giraffes love them, and the shape they have is from underbrowsing by elephants and giraffes. This balanite is one of the dominant trees here, and you can tell it is doing very well. Oh, over there, 2 balloons drifting quite low. This is one of the experiences somebody experiences when you come to the Masai Mara. They're really low, and from that height they can see quite a lot. Well, the reason this is like this way we are is that this habitat is called wooded savanna, where it's a mixture of trees and grass and open plains. I can see some elephants just below the balloons over there. Can you imagine the experience they're having? And that balloon is flying really fast. Nina, yes, wow, this is super cool. This is awesome. It is one of the beautiful experiences being in the Masai Mara this early. One of my favorite times to be out is now. Well, just to tell you a great story about how the Mara came to be like this, is that about maybe about 1 or 2 centuries ago, in the late 1800s, there was an outbreak of a disease called rinderpest. This was brought by domestic cows, which were imported from somewhere north. And when they came here, a very big population of all our grazers and browsers were affected, and they died. Once they died, there was nobody to utilize these grasses, and so it became very thick. The elephant population shot up, and eventually when they reached a high population, they started breaking down the trees and opening the areas, and that's how this area came to be like this. Also, human habitation contributed to opening up of this land, by burning the grasses so that they could have areas, fresh shoots for the cows, and also kill the diseases. They opened up these areas to be what they are. Actually, during that time, the population of wildebeest is said to have been much higher than what we have at the moment, which stands at around 3.5 million. They say it was more than that, and about 80 to 90% of all of them succumbed to this bad disease. But it was only witnessed in the late 50s and 60s, 1960s. That's when they started migrating. So the migration that we see in the Mara Serengeti, it's actually a very recent phenomena, which is rather interesting. The disease has been eradicated and there's a vaccine for it, so it's not as effective and as dangerous as it used to be. And this is how, this was turned. By then, when all these animals had died, the Maasai called this osere, which meant thick bush. But after it was opened and these trees were left, dotted the plains, it is called El Mara, which means the dotted. So it is named after Maasai word, Masai Mara, the spotted land of the Maasai. That's where actually the name Masai Mara comes from. It's from these trees. If you fly, up high, you will see that it is dotted here and there. We just about to witness the start of another great morning, which is always super special for me, and I'm hoping to share it with you. Looks like it's gonna be one of those magical sunrises. Remember to join in and ask us as many questions as possible. It's a super morning. I don't know the date. Here in the bush, it doesn't really matter for me. I know the day that I'm supposed to go and see people that I love. Everything else is all fine. Yeah, I understand it's 25th of Jan. It's gone fast. Super morning, look at that. I can hear some vehicles heading towards where I am. They think I found something. I think when they ask me, I'm gonna tell them I found the sun. It's beautiful. Okay, any moment from now, you're gonna see a nice glow. It's coming. I hope you're enjoying this. You have a cup of coffee, tea. Yeah. Yeah, those are hornbills calling, some rufous-napped larks, yellow-throated longclaws, all those, and some certain cisticolas. They are small grass dwellers, grass-dwelling birds. No, what I see, what I need in those places there is for a giraffe to walk, but maybe I cannot get everything that I want. Yeah. Okay, guys, there we are. It's coming. I don't know what you see, but it's really cool. I think it's already out somewhere. Hey, come out. Yeah, I'm sure, yeah. My friend has joined me and he's wondering what I can see. Morning. Yeah, you can tell it's getting brighter down there. There is a cloud there, so already I think it's out behind there. Yes, the smells here in the Mara are super. You cannot believe, the smells here. They're so fresh. You can imagine being in a place where in all directions, the nearest civilization town is almost 100 miles, and you're in the middle. You can imagine surrounded by trees, surrounded by grass, animals, nature. this is where I am. I must say I'm a lucky monkey. It's super cool. There it is. You see it? It's saying hello. There it comes. Curious one, you say this is very peaceful. I appreciate that. It's super peaceful. Look at that. It's so beautiful. Yeah, all the birds are chirping. They're so happy. I'm sure maybe they are. Adam, you say you wish you had this view every day. Well, maybe you have something else that somebody else doesn't have. I appreciate that, but you know, I know what you mean. It's really super. It is super. Well, anytime I'm out, I will try and give you as many as I can, because it's always beautiful to see the beginning of start of day. Yeah, from there it goes up very fast, and the animals, I'm sure, they're very happy to see that, because some animals don't like the night when it's cool, so they're waiting to warm up so that they can get active. That the reptiles, the crocodiles, they love that. You know, the lizards, they're all out. Some snakes also. They like, you know, to warm up, so it's actually very much appreciated. The night is welcome, but the morning is even more welcome. Call 6, we need to start playing the Lion Sing song. Yes, I think we do. Maybe next time we see this, you need to play it, and then you know, you can synchronize the sound raising from here and your song in the house. So that would be better, because I'm not allowed to play any music here. Otherwise, I'd be playing you some already. Or do you want me to sing for you? Or actually, I don't have a very good voice. Maybe next time. All I can say is, sun is shining, the weather is sweet, yeah. Make you wanna move your dancing feet. Yeah, that's all I can say. Okay, guys, that was super cool. Let me proceed on and show you some things further down. And let me hope I can find you something down the road. Yeah, it is super, 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 super cool. Well, when I go down this way, I'm going to link you down to my colleagues who are looking for lions and leopards. I hope they can find them for you guys. See you shortly.
Thank you, Isaac. What a wonderful song by Bob Marley. The sun is shining. That's a great tune. There's also a very nice remix out there. Everybody starts getting a little bit of a dance on. It is Friday. Isn't it Friday? It is Friday. Okay, so we've continued on those tracks, and I found them again, and I came down into the drainage line over there where we came out of. We didn't find any buffalo or giraffe. Giraffe killer didn't find any. Very faint though on the road here, but they are definitely going back that way. So I don't know what to do now. I'm trying to get Herbie and them on the radio, Herbie and Tristan, but I think that they turn it off, because when you're on walk, you don't want to have the radio going wah, wah, wah. I'm trying to inform them of all these tracks, because, well, I do need help tracking leopards, I'm not going to lie. And when you've got experts on the ground, such as Herbie and Tristan, then it's important to communicate so you can maximize your area of search. Well, at least I know those tracks are heading down, and it's possibly the same ones I cut in the river now. But maybe they've cut across onto the other side. Tundi and Tingana do like to do that. Cut all the way through. Hello, Hannah. You want to know how often we see cheetah? There are cheetah in the Sabi Sands. They do move around a lot. We've got lots of lion, hyena, and leopard, so the cheetah are quite few and far between. They prefer much open habitats. Last year, I think in total, we probably had about a month or so of solid cheetah sightings. The one was for an entire month. I think we had that one female. So here's Tinga. Definitely, well, I'm going to assume Tingana's track's heading back that way, but back towards where Herbie and Tristan are working. So I'm going to let them know on the radio exactly what's going on, and then they can... end of this road, around the beginning of last year when I started, and he just came across a cheetah just like there. So they do come and go. And also when I got back from leave 2 weeks ago, as I was coming in the gate, Jamie had found a family of cheetah. Well, the two boys that were around with the female all those months ago, and they were around for about a day and then they were gone. So there is always the potential to have cheetah. They do come and go, and when you look at their tracks are like that of a leopard, just squashed, like you put a leopard's foot in a vice grip. And quite often you will actually see the claw marks on the track itself. So if we find a cheetah track, I'll most certainly point it out to you. A little bit more narrow and skinny than the leopard track that we see. Okay, so those tracks are definitely heading that way. I'm going to keep going around, come onto the other side of the drainage, see if they come out, and then hopefully the bushwalk team will help us come into there, because it seems as if all three leopards are kind of hanging around in the same area. Hello, Adam. Welcome back again. Nice to have new viewers on the show, and a very good question, Adam. And this is what's very interesting, is that yes, indeed, cheetah are known to hunt during the daylight hours due to the competition that they get from lion, leopard, hyena, which are generally more sort of dusk and dawn and nocturnal hunters. But there's a game reserve down in the south. Sorry, Craig, I'm hitting all the bumps. Down in the south in the Eastern Cape of South Africa called Shamwari, which is a very, very high-ranking sort of reserve because all of the celebrities go there. And they started their predator introduction. It was old agricultural land and all that sort of thing they brought together. And their first introduction of predators was cheetah. And so cheetah were the first predators on the scene. And what they did is they were hunting whenever they wanted to. They were going into the thickets, hunting at night, hunting in the day, just a free-for-all for the cheetah. So they're not against hunting at night. But one of the things we need to understand is what we call niche realization. So the fundamental niche is the entirety in a landscape that an organism can live. And now when we talk about cheetah, we talk about cheetah and the landscape where they can actually hang out and do their thing. But the realized niche is where these animals actually occur with competition involved. And cheetah are probably the weakest of the big predators. And so what happened immediately when they introduced lion into Shamwari, the cheetah started becoming diurnal, meaning hunting by day and staying very well clear of the thickets. So without the lion, they took over the place. With the lion there, they had to change their habits back to what we see characteristically how cheetah behave. And they like open areas. They like to be able to see long distances. And obviously they don't really hunt at night unless it's a full moon. But they are very vigilant and alert because lions will eat them and kill them whenever they possibly can. I mean, there's a very nice sort of bit of footage of one hyena coming in and just displacing four brothers. They're just in, okay, you have our food. They just don't have the necessary strength and power to defend their kills. They can catch them very, very well, but they don't have the strength to compete with with the likes of lion and hyena, and especially leopard. Okay, so definitely male leopard tracks heading north along Twin Dams Road, and I'm sure that is Tingana. So we're going to come around again and get on the radio in a moment, find out if the bushwalk team can come and give us a hand here, because we'd like to find you a leopard this morning. I think you'd all like one. We also try and... But the light is... Ooh, that is a beautiful light coming through there, Craigo. Oh, yes. Always nice to stop and enjoy the landscape. Beautiful, beautiful morning. Lovely cloud cover. Just take a moment, like you did in the Mara, to just reflect on your day, reflect on your week ahead or behind you. And still hear oxpeckers coming from there, so I'm going to go back into that drainage and see what's going on the other side. Oxpeckers, when they're very vocal like that, generally means that they're having a bit of a feeding frenzy, or they're breeding. Either or. Let's go and have a look, and we can maybe put them on camera for you, Teresa. Wonder if you've got any of the oxpeckers on your list. We do get the yellow and red-billed oxpeckers here. Oh, here's a bird on the branch there, Craigo. Before we link to the Mara, one quick bird. There's a grey-headed sparrow, Teresa. Very common bird. He's busy cleaning his beak. He's got a grey head, and if you look, he's got a little bit of a white patch on his shoulder. All birds have beaks that constantly grow, and they often... Oh, there he goes. Constantly wiping them and cleaning them and scratching them, almost like we need to do with our fingernails, otherwise they get too long. We cut ours. Theirs are waxy, and they wipe them and they sort of decrease in size. Use everything. Their beaks are for everything. But anyway, I hope that's a new one for you, Teresa. Grey-headed sparrow. But while we move on, let's see if we can find something in the drainage line. Let's go all the way back up to the Masai Mara with Isaac, who is a bird expert himself.
Here I am, still meandering around, wandering around, trying to find you something. That section has been very quiet, and I think I would blame the grass because it's very high, so nobody wants to be in it. You don't want to get cold feet. And so that's why, I'm moving towards the river where usually the animals concentrate, and I might find you something. Although it's that quiet, I'm sure there is those little creatures that we can't see, and they're hiding in there. Over here, I'm in between two beautiful small forests, which are ideal for our rare and endangered black rhino. We sometimes see them here on a good day. So I don't know where my luck is when I get to see one, but in front of me, I can see some ellies. So I'm gonna show you some ellies and see what's next. All this grass will not go to waste because once those animals have utilized the grass in those short areas, they will be forced to come here and eat it. So it won't go to waste. And if it is not finished by June, then the wildebeest will arrive, and they don't play with food, those guys. They are actually very efficient in making sure that they eat the grass. Over here we have it looks like African grey hornbill. He's flown off, sorry. He's gonna go to the right. Yeah. There he is, he goes. Sorry, it's too fast for me. Yeah, so it will be utilized by the wildebeest if nobody else utilizes it. And that is when, by the time they leave, it's all finished. There's nothing left. It's like in front of me, it's low like that. They do a very good job, the wildebeest. There's a beautiful herd of elephant here. Looks like a small breeding herd. A few females and some youngsters. Costa, you asked me if there's a season where birding is more popular in the Mara. No, birding is year-round because we have these small wetlands and marshes, and you can come birding anytime. Most of the birds we find here are residents. We do get a few migrants, and they come in and out from April to May. We do get those migrants from Europe. They're coming in, but the rest of the time, all the birds you hear are residents here. Here is small breeding herd. Yes, a colleague of mine is walking on foot and he has found a leopard, and that is very exciting. Let me take you down there and then you'll come back to me.
We have indeed. So we found Hosana on foot. We're just trying to get you a view of where he's gone, because unfortunately the signal's quite tricky here, and he's just walking from our left to our right, and at the moment he's probably, the last we saw of him, maybe 20 meters from where we are, just kind of coasting through. So I'm just trying to see if I can get some sort of a view of him. I don't want to walk in there because it's going to chase him a little bit, and so we're just trying to see if we can just spot him from on top here. Unfortunately, when we get lower than him, it's too low and we can't actually get signal. Now he should be in the drainage. Now come, David, let's go forward. There he is. He's right here. Look at this. He's not even 5 meters from where we are at the moment. He's just watching us. You see him there? You can just see his tail. Now, what we're going to try and do is we're going to just try and kind of move a little bit into a different area. You can see his tail's not really kind of that happy about us being as close as we are. He's walked right next to where we are, so we're going to just move a little bit. And we're just going to try and get ourselves behind a bush and just give him a little bit more space and try and let him kind of relax a little bit. So let's just go forward a little bit, Herbie. Now he's being his usual self, where he's kind of watching us, but I just want to get a bush between us and him so that he doesn't feel like we're right on top of him and that he's kind of having to feel a little bit more threatened. So there we go, David. If you just come here, you should be able to see him awesome through there. Now this is just so ridiculous. He's less than, I would say, probably 10 meters from where we're standing, and he's just watching us through the bush. Isn't that spectacular? Now, being on a bushwalk and seeing a leopard is very few places you'll get a view of a leopard like this. And we actually, funny enough, walked past him twice before we found him. We were on his tracks. And we kind of tracked back and we found tracks for Tandi, and we kind of then came back and look, he's starting to relax a little bit now. He's still watching us and just kind of figuring out what's actually going on. But I mean, it's ridiculous to be this close to a leopard on foot, and for him not to run is absolutely insane. Hello, boy. It's okay. No. Behave yourself now. Now, the problem is we don't really have anywhere to go. So what we're going to do is we're just going to let him kind of come across the road. I can't actually believe that he's walking out in the open like he was. He's kind of just gone behind the bush a little bit. And like I said, it's the reason why I wanted to put the bush between us and him, is allow him a place that he can feel like he can hide a little bit behind it. At the end of the day, we don't want to stress him too much, but unfortunately when it comes to a leopard and you walk into him like we did, I mean, we literally just tracked into him and he was right next to us, so it's very tricky for us to kind of move from here. So what I'm going to do, we're just going to try and kind of position ourselves slightly better. Now, I can't actually see where he's gone. He just went behind the bush, and it seems as though he's kind of just sitting right behind there and probably just watching us somewhere there. Now, it's difficult to actually see where he is. I think he's moving down onto the other side, which is fine. We're going to leave him as much as we can. We'll try and I just want to try one more spot before we kind of decide to move out, because obviously we're going to get Steve in here. So, Ivy, you say you take back your offer from cleaning his face, so there he is there. He's just watching us. He's being naughty. He's kind of playing this game that Hosana sometimes plays. I've had it a few times when you track him on foot, as he follows you. And as you walk, he comes up behind you, and kind of just as you go, he follows along with you. And so he's kind of just finding a spot where he can watch us and lie down. And then when we move, he moves as well. But yes, Ivy, washing his face would not be a good idea. It's not ideal to go and wash a cat's face. This is ridiculous. Hosana, you are another leopard altogether. You know that. It's a bit like Salahesh. Salahesh used to be like this too. She used to kind of lie like this, but that was more in the lodge. Outside of the lodge, she wasn't quite as relaxed, but he is just another story. Literally, like I say, we must have moved past him I don't know how many times before we noticed him. And we only saw him because Franklin was calling, and we just saw the tops of his ears as he moved. Right, we're not going to follow him any further than that. I think we got a view that's second to none when it comes to being on a bushwalk. We certainly are not going to push it any further than that, and we'll leave Steve to rather come in, which is absolutely insane. How crazy was that? Anyway, Hosana he's just a mind-blowing leopard. In the meantime, though, we're going to send you back across to Isaac up in the Mara and see how his morning is going. Hopefully it will fare as well as what ours has.
Yes, here I found Ndovu in Swahili. We call him elephant, African elephant. We call it Ndovu in Swahili, or Tembo. Both are Swahili names. And this youngster is trying to use his trunk for the first time. I've been watching him, and he has made quite a few attempts, and he has succeeded to pull a few grasses. You see that? He's pulled. He's really doing quite well, you know. For this size, yes, this size elephants are actually always amazing to watch and observe, because their feet, their ears and trunk sometimes disturb them. They don't know how to coordinate them, and sometimes they can do some funny things. This guy looks like he's more concentrated and focused in finding out the real use of his trunk. And you know, I've seen him pull few grasses, so he's quite a cute and a smart one, a very cute one. Yeah, I don't know if you can see, but he's a bit, you can tell he's a bit on the crest there on the top of the head. He looks like he's got a bit of hairs. That's typical when they're really young. This guy is about less than 8 months old, and he's doing very, very well. I think he's one of those genius babies that know how to do things quite at a very early age. This is, you know, he's not playing that like other youngsters do. He's very busy using his trunk. I would call him Smarty. And that's the mom. You can tell she's not worried. She's also quite busy having breakfast. Everything is nice and soft. This is a typical young breeding herd, and in company of 2 males. There is one male very close to us over here. He's going to come into view, and there is another one way back where you cannot see him. The differences sometimes can be seen of females and males by looking on the head straight on like this one. You can tell he's quite wide and also very roundish towards the top. That is sometimes a good way of telling between males and females. Looking at the forehead, you see that it's so more rounded. It doesn't have an angle. Yeah, and this youngster here, he's about, I would give him about maybe 20 years. He's still got a very long way to go, and fully grown like this, you know, he would eat about 5% of his body weight every day. He'll need lots of water. This is an animal that under threat around the world. We're quite fortunate in the Mara. We do have a good number, and we do see them quite frequently. He's very busy eating the soft, nice grass. You know, for them right now is a time of plenty. There is nothing to worry about. He's just busy enjoying his grass. That trunk is an amazing tool for the elephants. Without that trunk, the elephant wouldn't be able to survive or live. Actually, elephants with a shorter trunk and large tusks are always smaller in size. Over here, because of the 2 advantages, they're always super huge and big. Like this young guy, you know, he's quite young, but for his size, he's, you know, a good 3 tons, which is quite big for his age. And he looks beautiful. Behind him, I don't know if that's a bird. Yes, it does look like a bird. And I can tell it's either gray from top of the head and stretches all the way down. That's a gray-backed fiscal. It's in the family of shrikes, who actually feed on small creepy crawlies. And over here, he's waiting for the elephant to disturb maybe a few grasshoppers. Then he's gonna, go for one. They're usually in a few numbers. They actually sometimes quite gregarious, so the others must be somewhere, but we don't see them from where they are. This butcher bird is actually known for eating and then storing its food on a thorny bush where it will come to eat later, or it will sit there until it feels it's time to eat. Dash Dash, you say that it's got a honey badger button. Yes, it does. It does. Yeah, it's only that it's not as aggressive as a honey badger and as smart. Oh, somebody else came out. Yeah, that's a yellow-throated sparfle. A red-throated sparfle, sorry. And he seems to be in a hurry. I don't know what's happening. He's late for work, maybe. Or somebody disturbed him. These are red-throated sparfle or francolin. And somebody must have spooked him because he seemed to be in a haste. See there we go. The shrike went down for that grasshopper that he was waiting, that I was saying. And it's down there, maybe making sure it's dead and it's got a good grip, and then it's going to come back maybe to the same perch. Sometimes it will eat it there and just fly up to that bush without it. It has decided to fly further away, quite a long way. Yeah. There's one, very close to us. Yeah, that's another. Yeah, I did tell you that, sometimes hang around many of them. That's another one, and he's also trying to take, advantage of the elephants disturbing the bushes. Okay, that was a nice little introduction to this part of Anna Marie, you asked me if elephants would fight when they must. Yes, they will fight. Big bulls that haven't met before, and so they don't know who is more dominant or who's stronger, will fight actually to find who's the strongest. And by that, next time they meet, they will avoid conflict. But otherwise, from a very young age, some bulls will actually, find the hierarchy, and so they'll avoid conflicts in the years to come. So they will fight for mating rights. Yeah, that little one is drinking. That's how they drink. The mother usually puts one foot forward and allows the young one to fold its trunk back, open its mouth, and get that big tit. Look at that. I'm sure it's warm and sweet. And after eating all this cold, it's hard enough. After eating all this cold grass, it's nice to mix it up with some nice rich warm milk. Want some more? Okay, there we go. Yeah, you can tell the mom is being very patient, staying there, eating from one spot to give it a few. Yeah, maybe there's not enough milk. Maybe it might have to go to the other side. I don't know. Anyway, that was good. I'm sure he's had some nice warm milk. Excellent. Let's change positions and go down the road and see what we can find you. But that was a nice view of the youngster drinking the milk. I'm still a long way from where I wanted to go, so allow me to go further down. There's a nice area where we do see lots and lots of birds because there is a swamp, and I'm hoping to get there before it really warms up, because right now it's time where they're all seated trying to dry their wings, so it's easier to fly just in case there is threat. In front of me I have the Niconico SafariLive, or two of them. This must be a pair. They love the road because it's easier to walk on, less grass so they don't get wet. Oh, and there's a Rufus Niplak over here, very close. Yeah, there you go. Ravinda, you asked me if sparfowls and francolins are from the same family of birds. Yes, they are. But the spar are called the spar because they have this like protruding miniature leg like on their back side of their legs. You'll see that pointed on their back legs. The spar. That's where they get the name. Yeah, he's coming towards me. I don't have anything to give you. He's very close. Yeah, he's very close. Yeah, just go backwards that way so we can see you. Such a cutie. You see that spar? That's how... Yeah, you want to kill me. That's why they're called the spar or the redneck francolin. They're the same, you know, they're the same family, but they are divided because of that little pointy claw on the back of the legs. That's the other one. He was busy eating something. It's such a beautiful bird. They're in the game bird family, and they're very protected in Kenya. None of them are hunted. So, Jane, you say that they have chicken feet? Yes, they're very much like chicken. They're game birds, and all of them are look like that, like chicken. But here in Kenya, they're very protected. You cannot hunt them or eat them. And I think it should remain that way because they have their niche in the ecosystem, and trying to get them, you will disrupt the whole ecology. Can't imagine how fast the day, goes. I woke up, quite early, and now it's already almost 8 o'clock, and the sun is coming up. Soon I'm gonna have to start shading my layers. But it's still very beautiful here. Well, I'm gonna continue looking for something down this way, but while I do that, I'll link you down to my colleague who's on a walk in Juma, South Africa.
Well, good luck, Isaac. We at the moment are just trying to help Steve because we lost Hosanna completely when he went over the ridge. And so we're just trying to get onto a track just to give Steve a direction. We don't really want to find him on foot and go too close because I don't think he really wants us to follow him much more than what we've seen him. And I don't really want to push. The problem is we bumped into him far too close, and so he was kind of a bit twitchy with tail and a little light. I think if we had a distance, it would have been okay. But once a leopard kind of shows that he's got that tail's twitching, is not that comfortable, it's better to leave it alone. To find it again on foot is only just going to irritate him and give a negative response. So what we've done is we found tracks now, and we can hear squirrels calling in front of us, and so we've this kind of, and if birds, we can kind of hear his movement as he's going. But like I said, I don't necessarily actually want to bump into him. We're trying to just kind of keep him ahead of us as we go. Like I say, I don't really like when we bump into leopards at that distance. Funnily enough, when it's just one person on their own, he'll be a lot more comfortable. But three of us with the antenna, and we had no cover at all. We were literally walking up the road just to double check he hadn't crossed out behind us when we bumped into him. So not really ideal in terms of being able to spot a leopard or view a leopard on foot, but it was a pretty epic experience for him to be that close and for him to kind of be sitting right there. So we got lucky in some respects. The squirrel has stopped shouting, but I'm pretty sure he's going to move up. Now, a lot of you are saying that it was nice in many respects because of the way it looks like he's kind of growing up and becoming a lot more serious. And I agree with you. I think it was good to see in some respects that while he wasn't overly kind of uncomfortable. You could see that he was a little bit like, I'm not sure about you guys being this close anymore. Before it was okay, now I don't really know, and that's why that tail was going. I think if we had seen him from a lot further away, if it had been maybe 30, 40 meters, he would have been fine. I don't think he would have really worried about us. In fact, we had walked past him twice already, so he was probably okay with that, but it was that kind of, we were right next to him, and then his curiosity kind of got the better of him, and he came closer towards us, because ultimately he kind of came across to where we were, watched us for a while, and then realized, no, I'm not quite sure about this, and then kind of moved off, and his tail was kind of going. So, it is good in many respects. It's going to stand him in good stead going forward. We obviously don't want to make it into a situation where we walk into him too much and he starts to really hate people on foot, because obviously we've got to try and track him down for vehicle sightings. And so just try and kind of manage it, I suppose. And like I say, bumping into him like that is really not the most ideal situation, but you can't really do anything once you're in it. You've got to just kind of sit and weather the storm, so to speak, and wait for him to kind of make the next move, because us just rushing out of there would have only made him feel a lot more kind of vulnerable and nervy, and wouldn't have really kind of gone down too well. So better that we just kind of stopped, waited for him to make the move, and then let him go. And what we kind of did, like I say, is we just quickly tracked him across, and then just listened to the squirrels, and now we're sending the guys in the vehicles to go and try and relocate and see if they can find him. Anyway, while we kind of do that, we're going to send you, well, to the vehicle that's just over there, that's driving around, that hopefully we'll get a view of Hosana fairly soon.
This is the vehicle that's over here. Hello, everybody. Herbie's just asked us to come and poke our nose down this road. He thought he could hear some squirrels, so we're just going to turn our ears into kudu ears. Now, they had him on foot back there. We tried to get there in time, but we just didn't quite get there. There was a lot of radio traffic. We were very close to seeing him, but he's done a little bit of a loop around. So Herbie and Trist are still on foot, trying to see if they can find out where he's gone to. And obviously, it is a little bit easier to follow him with a vehicle. He's very relaxed with the cars. Just having a look on this track if there are any tracks coming through. But in this environment, we're so thick, so dense, so green, so tricky to see animals moving around. While having your nose to the ground for some tracks can be very, very helpful. This is a very difficult area to navigate, even when it's not fully overgrown. Dense river system. So just keep switching off, having a little listen down here. It's very, very tricky terrain. Very tricky terrain. Don't forget, everybody, this is live and interactive. We would love to hear from you. Hashtag SafariLive, or just throw in your questions and comments on the YouTube chat stream. We're trying to find a leopard. It's always exciting when you're going through the stages of where could he be. He could be anywhere. I know the bushwalk team is down here somewhere in the drainage, trying to see exactly where his tracks have gotten to. Okay, well, I don't hear anything down here. I'm going to pop back out again. Maybe we'll be lucky. You can see I'm in low range, can't you? You never want to get caught in low range. To go backwards if there is an elephant trying to give you a hassle, because you don't go very fast. Well, it seems like, Teresa, Isaac is trying to get some new birds for you for your bird list. Let's go and see which feathered friend he's found.
Here we are, and we found one of the most difficult birds to identify. He's very busy going. It's a cisticola, and cisticolas is a big family of about 15 to 20 different ones that we find here. The ones that are found here, the one we find here, it's going. This one is, I would say, it's a stout cisticola. Yeah, stout cisticola is the one. And his cisticola in Latin means a grass dweller. They love living in the grass, and he's very happy this morning. Listen to that. Or maybe he's complaining. It was a terrible night. You can tell how he turns his head and looks up. He's looking for predators, predators, raptors and hawks. Mainly the peregrine falcon is the one that goes for them, and the Gebaha goshawk that we find here. But that's why he turns and looks up, because sometimes they attack from the air. They come like a fighter jet and just get them. That is really super cool. Sometimes the only way to identify these guys is by using their call, and this is how I got to identify this guy. Yeah. It's one of the most difficult birds to identify, but I'm really grateful that he made and gave us the call. Yeah, it's really nice. And we have another one that we'd like to share with you, which is further to the right and really beautiful. It's way back there, somewhere there. Let's find it first for you. It's somewhere there. Really cool. I don't know if we can. Yes, there we go. We have two. That one is a blue-eared glossy starling. He's quite a distance. I think that's the farthest we could zoom in. But it's if we do more than that, then it will see the colors. You can see that like around the ear there's a sort of bluish color, and then the rest is quite a dark navy blue. So it's a blue-eared glossy starling. It's one of the large starlings we find in the Mara. Sometimes you find them alone, and sometimes in big flocks. I don't know what he's gone for in there, but definitely he doesn't have a nest there. They don't nest in small shrubs like that. Yeah, that was super cool. Looks like another cisticola over here. Yeah. Who are you? Chip. Chipping cisticola? No. Yeah, my cameraman is the best in the world. He is the most super cameraman. Yeah, this one, I would say, is the same guy who we saw earlier. Stout cisticola. By the looks. Yes, it is the same one. Yeah, well, he's a super. And to my left, you can hear, actually to my right, you can hear the ringneck dove calling. Work harder, drink Tusker, drink Tusker. Tusker is a famous Kenyan beer, which is drunk more than tea in Kenya. We grow lots of tea. Jen, you asked me if there's a bird that I would like to see that I haven't seen. Yes, there is a good number of birds that I would like to see that I haven't seen. Quite a good number. The golden weaver, the mountain yellow warbler. I would like to see that. There's quite a good number. And the barn owl I haven't seen. The pale-spotted owlet in the Mara I haven't seen, but I have seen in other places. So those are the few that I would like to see over here. And also in some other places that we do have the yellow-throated lapalis. I would like to see that. The African broadbill, I would like to see that. Yeah, there is quite a good number of them. There is a flower here that I'd like to show you. It grows in the Mara, and it's really beautiful. So away with the birds, let's do a little bit of flowering. It only comes out in the rainy season, stays dormant like a tuber underground, and when conditions are perfect, it shoots. and it is over here. A really super flower. I don't know which angle you want me to give you, but it's over here. It's a really nice flower. It's there you can see the red. It's really a beautiful flower. Sometimes it's got streaks of yellow on the inside. I would have wanted to show you, pluck it, but it's the only one, so I don't want to destroy it. It's called Gloriosa Superba. I don't know its English name, but it's super beautiful. They only come out just after beautiful short rains. You can tell the one to the right has got a bit of yellow. Do you see that at the base? And it's really, when it combines, when you really put it in your pot, when you have too many, they look so beautiful. So it's one of that. Those are some of the beauties of Masai Mara. Gloriosa Superba. We're gonna leave it to decorate the plains. We won't pluck it because I want to leave the plains so beautiful, the same way, you know, they've been. Yeah, that's the whole of it there. All right, let's move on. See who's down this way. A while ago, thank you for the English name, Flame Lily. Yeah, a very appropriate name for it. Some more francolins in front of me. Who is that? He's gone. He didn't want to be identified. Well, this is the time of the year when we get lots of flowers coming out. That's the first one I've seen, but we do get some lovely lilies this time of the year, and also hibiscuses we do get. So if I do see some more, I'm gonna share them with you. I can see more birds down here, so I'm gonna try and give you some more birds. Where are you? Have you seen that one? I don't know if you'll be able to. Oh, there it is. Yeah, look at that bush, Bunge. See that bush over there? I don't know if you'll be able to see him. He's really a super cool one. Yeah, see that? He's one of the widow birds. He's got a very long tail, you see that? Red-winged widow bird. And that is a breeding plumage. Yeah, that thick ivory-colored beak is for cracking seeds. Over here there's plenty of seeds, and you can tell the effects of having this very highly nutritious grass is everybody, you know, want to make babies, and this is the case here. The one that went down is actually the female, which usually has got a duller color. In birds, in the feathered kind, I would put it, males get these amazing plumages that excite the females, and you know, then they breed. I'm trying to find it in my book, and then I'll share it with you so you can see the differences. It's proving to be rather hard. Okay, here, boom, I found it. Yeah, that is the female there. Not very many colors. So in my book here it tells me actually it's the Jackson widow bird, sorry. Over here. You can see it. Yes, over here. It's a Jackson widow bird, and he's this guy here. You can tell the, you know, the red, like a russet color wing over here. Yeah, and the very long tail. That's it. And these were the female. Not I won't give him a name, but he's not as gorgeous as the male. This is the male. And when they're breeding, they actually have this amazing arena that they make in the long grass, where they make a circle and cut off the grass, leave a little chunk of like a mohawk in the middle, and then they'll make rounds going around this mohawk, jumping like that, you know, like. And I think, you know, they jump and the noise. And, you know, when they jump like that, whoever is impressed comes to mate. As I leave here, I'll link you to Tristan, who's got a bushback down in Duma.
Indeed, we are with the bushbuck, Isaac, and this is something that we very, very, very seldom see on drive. In fact, I actually can't remember the last time I put a bushbuck on camera, and so I thought, well, we'd stop. Considering we're on foot, we might as well have a look at it. This particular bushbuck we know very, very well. We're kind of left where the area where Hosana was, and we were slowly kind of walking back towards quarantine in the hope that we might find one of the big bulls feeding on some marulas there, bull eddies that is, and we bumped into this bushbuck who spends most of his time in and around camp, so he's quite relaxed with us on foot, which is quite nice. Most bushbuck would have probably bolted off by now and moved away, but it's a really nice example of a big male bushbuck. He's beautiful kind of chocolate brown color with those shorter horns than what you see from a nyala, and you would have noticed very few stripes, or in fact no stripes, along the sides of the body, which is how you can differentiate between them and nyalas. But he's going to carry on towards camp, so we're going to leave him to do so. What's interesting is that Jamie, apparently, we didn't actually hear it. We were walking and chatting about things, but we didn't hear it. But Jamie says she can hear a leopard sawing somewhere close to Inga's side. So I wonder if that's not Tingana that's making his way here, and it'll be interesting to see what Hosana's response is. Does he move closer towards it, which I think he might do. If it's Tingana, then he'll know that call so well that he might head in that direction. But like I say, we're on our way towards quarantine, and the reason why we're on our way there is because there's a lot of marulas that are starting to drop. So we'll, go and have a look at the marulas themselves, and two, maybe we'll get a bull ellie that will be moving around and kind of taking it easy on quarantine. Always nice to walk into bull ellies when they're feeding on marulas, because they're quite preoccupied at that stage and they generally leave you alone. So, you know, we'll try and see what we can find. I know Steve had a brief sighting of an ellie this morning somewhere close to quarantine, so we're going to try and see if maybe we'll get some luck and be able to find said elephant. But, you know, the thing with quarantine is that it's funny, the ellie seem to only come in the afternoons. Gemma, does that bushbuck have a name that lives in camp? I'm not sure, actually. Kirsty, did you guys name it? It was when Kirsty was here. Kirsty was the one that used to give all these bushbucks names. So there was Gogi. Is this Madala, apparently? No. His name could be what, Kirs? Derek. Derek the bushbuck. What about Bernie? Bernie bushbuck. I think Bernie works better. Derek. Okay, Derek it is. Kirsty's outvoted me. Okay, no, Bernie. Bernie is his name, apparently. Bernie the bushbuck, there we go. He's been given a name today. But he hangs around quite a bit. We see him quite a lot in camp. Sorry, I just noticed something on the grass here that I want to just check out. What have we got here? Oh, mating weevils by the looks of things. So these grasses are all in seed, which weevils absolutely love to feed off. And so it's obviously been attracting them, and when two members of the opposite sex meet on a grassy stalk over a romantic dinner, this is what then ensues, is copulation between these guys. So quite a lot of them around at the moment. We've seen lots of mating weevils, in fact, in the last few days. So really kind of nice to have lots of insects around once again. But what I will say is that while the insects have been better, they're still not great. I mean, we haven't had rain now in must be about 2.5 weeks since we had our last rains, and that's not really ideal for insects. We still haven't had that same kind of explosion. I mean, this year we've had very, very few elegant grasshoppers. Sorry, Dave, you've got spider webs all over. We've had very few elegant grasshoppers. Sorry, I'm just spotting things as we're sitting here. Is that more of them mating? What is that? I don't think these are actually weevils. Hold on, David. I'm just going to... What are you? No, that's definitely not a weevil. That's a really cool looking insect. You can see it's got all kinds of hairs all over it and the shiny kind of coppery back. That's very cool. No idea what it is though. This has never seen one of these before. This is the nice thing about being in a kind of place where you get lots of insects is that you get random insects that come and land in here, and you just don't see them all that often. But what it definitely looks like is, if I try and turn it a little bit, you can see it's got a proboscis that is buried deep inside this grass stalk, and so it's obviously feeding on all of the good stuff that is in this grass, all the sugars and things that comes through grass. That's what it's busy doing now. So it seems like it's drilled a little hole and is now kind of feeding its way through the stem, which is not really ideal, because I suppose I've picked the stem now, which is, I didn't really notice it was feeding. I thought it was just sitting there. In fact, at first I thought there were two of them, but there really is only one. Such a crazy looking little beetle. It's got these crazy little hairs on it. I'm just trying to see where its eyes are. It almost looks as though it doesn't have eyes. David, can you see eyes with your magnification that you've got there?
Not exactly, no.
I'll try and get it a little bit closer for you. Yes, the eyes must be on its face. I gather that, but I don't see where it is. Interesting. I'm going to just turn it for you, Dave. Just hold on. Let's try like that now. Let's see if we can get some kind of idea of where the face actually is. Just bend the grass slightly to be able to see it. But crazy looking little thing. Did it lift its head up a bit, David?
Slightly. I'm still struggling to see.
You're still struggling to see eyes and various other things. Okay, well, interesting little creature nonetheless. Very cool to see, though. Amazing. It's got its kind of legs tucked in underneath as well. All right, little thing, we're going to put you back like we found you. We're going to just prop this little grass stem up. There we go. Just like it was. We don't really want to disturb them too much, so we'll just place that back. And like I say, it's exactly like it was before. No one will notice. And that poor little insect at least has lots more grasses to be able to kind of sit on and feed on. So if that particular grass stalk is not good enough, then it'll be okay. More weevils. So it's always nice when you walk around these things just to have a look, because you can find all kinds of crazy stuff that is on these particular plants. That's more weevil action. So lots of them around as well. And I'm pretty sure this little beetle that we had, we would be able to find it, because I wonder if it feeds exclusively on this chloris grass. It would be interesting to kind of find out and to double check. Now, funnily enough, yesterday we were following Hosanna around, and I actually saw my first golden orb web yesterday. It was, albeit dilapidated and broken, but it was there, and there was this nice golden shine on the strand that was going across. I actually didn't see the spider, but the web was there. Now, the web wouldn't have lasted since last year, so it must be this year's spider. Maybe it was just sitting on a leaf somewhere, and obviously I didn't stop for too long, given that we were following Hosanna around. Right, onto quarantine we go. Nice that there's so much, when you just look and you just take a second, many things that are around. Now, Isaac's doing some birding, and well, I always like to do a bit of birding, so maybe we'll have a look out for some birds of our own, but I wonder what he's found next.
Here I am with one of our common lapwings, and this is the wattled lapwing. It is a very beautiful bird, and it's got some interesting wattles that actually are prolonged in the mating season, and they look like a long beard. They pair for life, and that's why they're two. And very much like the others, they love the road or the open area, because there is less stress in walking, and also a nice place to dry themselves after a wet night. There is dew everywhere, and that's why, they love it in the trucks and in the road. I did have a few with me, but they're all gone. But I can see a beautiful Jackson's with a bird, which I'm going to share with you shortly. But I'll have to drive a little bit further. It's to the right somewhere there. Yeah, it's seated somewhere there. I don't know if you'll be able to see it. Yes, there it's flying. There. It's gone quite a long way. That's the same guy we saw earlier, but this one is fully now in full plumage. That long tail, that's the male to the right. To the left, and the female to the right. That is the difference in coloration in the breeding season. In the down breeding season, they're all brown, and you see that the long tail, that beautiful long tail. Yeah. Oh, what happened? There's a bit of a misunderstanding. He's coming back. He's coming back there. You see the long trail is actually making it hard for him to fly. Looks like it might fall into pieces. Yeah, but he's struggling. You see how fast the wings beat. Yeah, in the non-breeding season we call them LBJs, little brown jobs, because for a newcomer who doesn't know what they look like, it's all the same, and it's really hard to identify between male and female. That is the Jackson's widow bird. In Masa it's called Ormosingo, because it dances like somebody. I think it was named like that. Awesome. The reason we're seeing all these plumages, it's again because there's plenty of food. Okay, while I find you another bird, I'll link you down to Juma, where Steve I think he's found another leopard. He's being the leopard man.
Thank you very much, Isaac. Keep up the birding. I will try and do some birding, but for now we've managed to find the Duke of Juma himself. He's been waiting for you all to come and join us before standing up and walking. So for all of those of you who have suggested or have been wondering why Tingana hasn't been calling, Jamie heard him calling close to where she stays, and we went there, found his tracks, and then I assumed it's a good chance that he's walked through the drainage onto, this is Central Road, and then Mvubu Road is coming up, where he often will do his territorial patrol, but for now he's pulling a poo face. So he waited for all of you to come and join us, and he's now decided to walk right in front of my car, and well, as discreetly as possible, he is going to relieve himself. But it seems like he's having a bit of trouble there. Tingana, what's going on, boy? Oh no, he's left us a very nice surprise. Steaming. There he is, everybody. The Duke of Juma was calling. Jamie heard him call. I didn't hear him. We were trying to find Hosanna, but in the thickets and in the drainage lines there around, sorry about the back of the vehicle, around Gallagher Pan, it becomes very, very difficult to follow up. And, as Tristan is saying, you don't want to keep pushing him. If we go in there and we can find him with a car, that's great. But we don't want to keep sort of walking and moving and just sort of getting in his way, if you know what I mean. But here is the Duke of Juma himself. And I'm not going to get in his way. I'm going to use the fire break that we have here to go all the way around him so we can get another front shot of him without influencing his movements at all. So we do get to track these animals on foot. Tingana's one you won't see on foot. He is Tingana, the name implies, the shy one. Hosanna we do see on foot quite often. Avi, you think he was telling me something by taking a poo? I don't know what you mean. I don't know what you're suggesting, Ivy. What are you suggesting that he's trying to tell me? Anyway, he's definitely looking like he might be a little bit hungry. I'm going to wait here and let him come closer. He's on his way sort of towards Vuyatela Pan. And I was just saying that this is an area Hosanna's been spending a lot of time. And if Hosanna has been scent marking and doing his thing, well, Tingana's not going to like that very much at all. But yeah, like I said, we do get to see Hosanna on foot, but there's a limit to what you should do with leopards on foot with regards to trying to relocate them, especially if they're in quite dense vegetation. It's best to just leave them be. If we could find him with a car, that would have been great, but we did try. But for now, we have got his dad. Isn't he beautiful? He does look hungry. The lions stole your kill yesterday, boy, but we don't know who you stole your kill from either. A very good chance was Tundi. She's well known for killing male impala. Hello, Tom. Well, that is not the case of all cats. Definitely the smaller cats. Serval are known to scratch over their dung. Sorry about the aerial. Wildcat most certainly, as some of you are testament to one of my bushwalks when I thought I was picking up or digging into a steenbok scraping, and I came out with sticky, wet wildcat poo on my hand. Leopards, lions, cheetah do not bury their dung at all, their scat at all. He is a territorial marking, and I think after his 100-meter walk, he is now having another movement. Sorry, Craig, I'm just going to wait there and see where he's going to go. I'm really hoping he's going to soar as well, folks. Oh, is he going to say hello to the tree? A little communication tree? Trying to smell who's been around. Now, if he keeps on this route that he's on, then he's going to go out of Djuma into Buffelshoek. If indeed that is the route, because the road to the right here is called Mvubu, and that'll go right up onto the Buffelshoek boundary. And it is a route that we've commonly had him walking along. Commonly, that's why when we had his tracks there at the junction where Jamie heard him calling from, I had a very strong feeling we should just pop out on this other side. Because, you know, they are a little bit by nature. They do tend to do similar things. Predictable, should I say, when it comes to their movement. Did he just disappear into that bush, Craig, or did I lose him already? Okay, he is there. Thank goodness Craig has got such good eyesight. It's just up over here, I think. He has just disappeared. You got him there, Craig, Let me just move in front here. Tell me when you're happy. I'll answer your question now, Minas, about the size. Look how he's just vanished there. Are you good? Now, you'd never have thought he was there. Now, imagine trying to find him if you didn't know he was here. Minas, you want to know about size? I mean, it's becoming more and more difficult to identify the difference in their track. But the thing is that there's still a size. You can see Tingana's got a lot more skin on him. He's definitely lost a lot of weight. No, he's lost a lot of weight even in the year I've been here. And so I still think he's bigger and heavier than Hosana, and he's a little bit more beefed out still. But he's just losing a bit of weight and it's still showing some skin. But I haven't seen the two of them together in some time. Tristan has spent a lot of time. He's had 3 leopards in a sighting from time to time. So I think he's probably got a bit more of an accurate sort of judge. It was nice coming back from the Mara and seeing Hosana again after 3 months. He really did pick up a lot more weight. But like I said, it's hard to really tell because Tingana is a big leopard, but he's lost a lot of weight, but he's still got a lot of skin, if that makes any sense. So it'd be nice to see the two of them together. Tingana's track is marginally bigger, but it's getting harder and harder to tell the difference between them, I must tell you. Well, he's going to do what he does best. Let's have a little nap. And obviously moving in the area, he's been sawing and marking his territory, and now he's going to just rest and let all the animals realize he's not here before he tries to catch one. But anyway, let's go ask Tristan his opinion about Hosana and Tingana.
Well, I'm sure that's exactly what he's going to do. The Duke is another story, and then he'll start walking during the middle of the day, as he does sometimes. But I'm so glad Steve managed to catch up with Tingana after we couldn't get Hosana for him and struggled to kind of find where Hosana went from when we last saw him. I'm glad that Steve got a leopard for this morning, so it's always nice when every presenter gets something that they are excited about. Anyway, we are sitting with well, what you would probably describe as a whole bunch of sticks that are shoved together. And so for many of you, you'll know exactly what this is, and you'll have seen them many times before on our bushwalks. For others who are probably a little bit newer to the show and we haven't been on as many bushwalks, well, this is what is known as a bagworm. So basically what's inside there is a little caterpillar-type worm kind of vibe that's basically harvests all kinds of bits of plant material, mostly. I mean, they can sometimes use sand particles and things like that, but a lot of the time they will use grasses that they've then cut and they glue together, basically, and it forms a casing so that this worm can move around on a leaf and feed off the leaf without being disturbed too much by predators. It also allows it to camouflage a lot better. Ultimately, it just looks like really a bit of grass that's on this leaf itself, and you can actually see the kind of damage it does. If we look on the edge of the leaf here, I don't know if you can see that, Dave, there's lots of kind of eating patterns from this bagworm where it's been eating on this terminalia, and so it allows us to kind of move around like that without really being detected by predators. Predators would really have a tough time to be able to discern that, and particularly when they go onto grass stems, it becomes really tricky to see them. So really cool to kind of see these little creatures, and like I said, that's kind of process that they've gone under, and that sticking of all that stuff together, mostly done with silk, that they kind of glue it all together and they'll try and build it around them, and as they grow larger, so the bagworm expands a little bit, which is very, very, very cool. Now there's also another little insect that I've just noticed over here, David. Do you see it in there? It looks like a little assassin bug that is inside here. So it's very, 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 very pretty little assassin bug that's inside there. Now, Jason, you say it looks like a log cabin that, well, has been built by maybe somebody that's had one too many apple juices. I suppose it does in many respects. It reminds me, this particular one, of a teepee. So one of those kind of pitch sort of tents, except that this is a one built out of sticks more than anything else. But a crazy little design. Imagine being that insect and being able to build that. Now, it's funny when you stop and you actually start to look and you start to kind of try and see if you can find insects, how many insects you can find on one tree. So we've got the bagworm, we've got the little assassin bug that is moving around over there. Then on our right hand side over here, David, do you see at the end of my grass stem, there's a little leaf hopper that is over there. Oh, sorry, Dave, let me get out your way. So there is a little leaf hopper that is busy sucking sap from this particular terminalia as well. You can just see it over there. Isn't that cool? Very cool little guys. Now, these guys sometimes have the craziest little nymphs. You'll find leaf hoppers that are green with these little white hairstyles, which are really quite cool to kind of find. And they're always on plants, especially young, tender plants like this that have soft stems. They'll enjoy feeding off that. Now, the other thing that we've got here is there's no bush that has got a lot of insects that doesn't have one of these fellas over here. And this one might be a bit tricky for you, David, because the wind has just come up all of a sudden. But right there in the middle is a spider that looks like it's on a kill at the moment. So it's bouncing up and down, unfortunately, and there's not really much we can do, but you'll kind of see the little spider sort of doing its thing, and with the wind blowing now, the web itself is being blown about quite a bit. Now, which spider it is, I'm not sure. This is the same spider that we've been seeing. It's got this kind of V-like brown marking on its abdomen, and so I'm not 100% sure on the species. Oh, that wind is playing havoc. Sorry, David. It's impossible. So it's a species that obviously is quite common here. I've seen a lot of them this year, far more than I've seen in previous summers, and so I'm not quite sure what it is yet. I'm still kind of going through spider books and just trying to check. I was having a good look yesterday, actually, funny enough, for these guys, so we'll try and find them. And there's still one more insect, can you believe it, on this same tree. So this is kind of a whole ecosystem all in one. So here, kind of camouflaged and really quite tricky to see, is a caterpillar. Now, if I show you the top of this here, if you can just quickly have a look, you can see that the coloration here is kind of a sort of purplish color that it's got on this particular stem, and the creature that I'm going to show you will camouflage really well if it's on that part of the branch. So if you have a look just in here at the end of my grass stem, there's a beautiful, beautiful caterpillar that we've got here. It almost looks a bit kind of armyworm-like in its sort of appearance and its structure, but it's got a lot more colors than what the armyworms do. But basically what you've got is on the front side there, you've got the two eyes, that are kind of positioned, and that's where it's going to be moving around and feeding off this plant. And then you've got this sort of front end section. You'll notice that there's legs there on the front side, and there's, I think, 3 sets of legs. There should be 3 sets. And then you're going to have a massive gap between the legs, and you'll start to come to the legs at the back here, and there'll be another 3 sets over there. And why they have the separation is how they move. So when this caterpillar wants to move, it will pull this part of its body up, and those legs will slide forward to join those ones, and then it will push its way forward. So much like how an inchworm works, it's the exact same design, and so that's why they have that break in there. It allows them to propel themselves. But what's really interesting with these guys is if you have a look, I don't know if you can see here, David, just on top of this particular back end of this caterpillar, you'll notice that there's 2 spots that look just like eyes on the back, and so that's to deter predators from eating it from behind. And so it's able to kind of have that, and then it's got 2 little structures that come off that make it basically appear like a little face. So there's the sort of structures that come off, the 2 eyes, and then the mouth parts, what it was. It's trying to mimic mouth parts. Well, I'm shaking this bush all over the place, David, sorry. But how cool is that? So it's got that just to defend itself, so when a predator comes from behind, it's able to kind of stop itself from being actually eaten. So there's exactly what we're talking about. You can kind of see it quite nicely in that area. Very, very cool. How amazing is that? So that's just one little terminalia that is this size, and there's that much life on it. And it goes to show why walking out here is so special. Is a lot of people come out and they're quite scared to walk, and obviously, yes, you can bump into the hosanas and you can have those kind of sightings, but there's so much that goes on a micro level, or macro level if you want to call it that, and we miss it from the vehicles. You'll never spot any of that. You'll just drive past and be like, oh, it's a terminalia shrub. You won't really expect anything to be on there, but when you actually stop, and it's funny, when you first walk, you don't see too much, but when you stop and you just look for a little period of time, you can see all kinds of things on that particular plant, and there's lots of stuff that is going on a day-to-day basis when you actually look closely. Now, talking about insects in a bush, as Kirsty says, there is, well, a sleepy duke that is inside of a bush as well, and hopefully he'll come out at some stage.
Well, there is plenty out here these days with the greenery, and he has decided to hide in the bushes. You can hear a Levalence cuckoo calling. I'm going to try and get Teresa a few more birds while we sit here with a very flat leopard. Got a landowner that's just joined us who's going to leave. Trying to see if I can find it for you. Have you got it, Craig, eh? Craig has spotted. There we go. Is that it? Yes, I think that might be it. Oh! Very quick. Now, there's 2 birds, the Levalence and the Jacobin cuckoo, which are very similar, and their call also is quite easy to confuse. So let me just find it for you quickly. And this is the time of year. Oopsie. Sorry, my roller's still going. Apologies for that. Cuckoo. Cuckoo, where are you? Jacobin. Okay, so I'm going to do a similar bird for you here. Here are the 2 similar birds, the Levalence and the Jacobin. And this is such a nice addition to this app. And you'll see that on the left is the Jacobin, and it's white chest, and the Levalence has got bars on the chest. Very easy to identify. L for lines, hey? L for lines. And this is the call. Teresa, my pleasure. And here is the Jacobin. Very similar. Very, very similar indeed. And you need to spend a bit of time to get your head around the 2 of them. Yes, I'm going to need to charge my phone. Craig, there's another bird on top of the tree. There's a red-billed buffalo weaver. Right on top of that, what looks like a knobthorn. Red-billed buffalo weaver. She's got a little bit of a white bar on the wing there on the shoulder. And got a red beak. There it goes. They're a community nesting bird. You often find them in groups, flocks of birds. One of the messy weavers. People say, why do you call it a buffalo weaver? And you basically think of, if you gave buffalo stuff to weave, that is what the nest would look like. It's just a messy jumble of sticks, where all the other weavers are very intricate weaving of grass leaves into a very, very nice tight ball. Where the buffalo weavers just make a very, very messy sort of accumulation of sticks, which they live in all year round. Just by the way, and it's one of the small five, the red-billed buffalo weaver. For those of you who've never heard the term small five before, we obviously have got the big five, which is the draw card. It's the way we get people out here, and then when we get you out here, then we show you the bagworms and the poo and the tracks and all the things you never thought you were really signing up for. But then the education starts. And so once you've got the big five, you get the little five. And the little five is the buffalo weaver, the leopard tortoise, the ant lion, elephant shrew, which I have not seen in this area. They do like very rocky sort of habitats. And then I'm forgetting, oh yes, the rhino beetle. The cuckoo's come back on that, says on the other side of the tree. For now, we can't see him. But we'll keep our eyes and ears open for some birds, because it doesn't look like Tingana's doing much in the way of birding himself. Nothing is open. No eyes, no ears. He is just sitting very, very still. So what's interesting about the Valence cuckoo there, he's just flown in front of us. He's gone. Sorry. The Valence cuckoo is a brood parasite for the arrow-marked babbler, which, like the buffalo weaver, is almost quite similar in the way they behave. They are quite community nesting, except they are a cooperative breeder, the arrow-marked babbler. The buffalo weaver is not. The babblers are very, very common in this area. They've also got little lines on their chest, arrow marks on the chest. And I was very fortunate once to actually see a juvenile Levalant cuckoo following around the arrow-marked babblers, begging for food. Begging, and after taking so much of the food, really stressing out the family. But very nice to see. And I suppose, cooperative breeders probably got a better chance of looking after a cuckoo than a single sort of monogamous pair. Most of the brood parasites that I can think of are either just the female looking after the chicks in most of the weaver species, or they are monogamous pairs that look after the baby. And so in a cooperative breed, at least there's more mouths or beaks to feed the chicks. So it's always funny when you find a brood parasite following around their host parents. Well, anyway, we're going to stay here, and hopefully Tingana gets up and makes some noise for us. But in the meantime, let's go back over to the bushwalk team.
Well, I hope so, Steve. I hope that Tingana will decide to make a bit of a noise for you, and that you'll be able to hear him soar. But we are continuing with our insect mission, and unfortunately things have calmed down a little bit. And you might think, well, it's just a caterpillar on a leaf, and so how have things calmed down? But essentially what was happening is that you can see this particular leaf was eaten quite badly by this caterpillar on the fringes. And so it was chomping down on the edges over here, and while it was doing that, a whole bunch of ants arrived. And the ants actually went for this caterpillar, and what the caterpillar did, which is very, very cool, is that it reversed off of this section here, and what you can maybe see is that there's a few fibers over the top of the leaf, and it reversed itself in underneath those fibers, and the ants then stopped immediately, because they know that if they go any closer, they're going to get stuck in that web, which is going to cause a lot of problems. And so this is a little defense strategy that it has. That's why they build. You can see the ants coming out. You see them on the edge. So they're moving around, tiny, tiny ants, but collectively will be enough to overpower this particular caterpillar. And basically what's going to happen is this little one is going to go into those little silky areas, and it's going to stay there until all the ants get kind of tired of being here, and eventually the ants will move away, and this caterpillar will be nice and safe inside its little kind of spun cocoon, if you want to call it that. It's not really a cocoon, but there's a little kind of place that they can utilize. Now, with this particular species of caterpillar, difficult to say 100% what it is. It looks like it's from the Acrea family, so we get a number of different Acrea species here in this part of the world. wild, and so it does look very much like one of those. Which one is a bit tricky. Funny enough, yesterday actually I saw my first ecria of the summer. We saw a window ecria that was flying around when we were doing our checks for the rehearsal, and was kind of cruising around near Hosanna, which was really cool to kind of see. So that was nice. But I'm amazed at this caterpillar and how well this little defensive strategy works. When we first got here, there was ants all over this leaf, and you can see now there's I think only 1 or 2 ants that are actually left, and they're starting to kind of lose interest in trying to go after this caterpillar and kind of left it alone. And so once the threat is gone, the caterpillar will just come back out and will nosh on the end of these leaves and will be able to get all the food it needs and be quite happy. Now, if you look to the right, you'll see that there's an even bigger kind of area that it's done before. So there is a lot more silk and web that it's kind of spun in that area, and so that will be how it looks when they're probably trying to hide out during the night. They'll kind of go into there and try and stay as safe as possible. Now, the tree that they're on is quite an interesting one. It's a sandpaper raisin, and I'm going to hold the leaf up to my cap, because you can see, I mean, I'll try and show you, but if you have a look at it, you'll see that there's these kind of little bumps on it, and it's got a very rough sort of texture to it. Can you see them there? So those little bumps act just like sandpaper. They're very kind of hard and gritty, and so if I rub it where my cap is over here, can you hear? It's got a kind of sandpapery sort of sound to it, and this stuff can really kind of do all kinds of things. I've actually once sanded an entire rifle with this stuff, which is quite interesting. So we sanded down a rifle using it just to test if it would work, and it actually gave a really nice smooth finish on the stock before we oiled it again, which was quite interesting. But it's a bush that we don't see that often. There's one really nice big one outside of the tent, but they are around all over the place, and this should be able to help us narrow down exactly which caterpillar we're dealing with, because most caterpillars or insects will have a specific host kind of plant that they like to kind of feed off, and so if we just find which host or which caterpillar likes to feed off these sandpapers raisins, then we'll be able to kind of work out exactly, or sandpaper bush, then we'll be able to work out exactly which ones it is. But very, very cool to kind of see these guys once again. Man, I mean, I suppose you could use it as toilet paper, but you're not going to be very happy about it, unless maybe, I don't know, you somehow enjoy stinging your rear end. But no, you would not want to use this as toilet paper. It would be a very unhappy experience, and one that you would probably only do once, and then you would realize what a grave mistake you've made. The nice thing is, though, is that when you actually pick this stuff, you can feel straight away that it's rough, so you would never actually use it. But yes, not a viable toilet paper plant, that's for sure, unless, of course, like I say, you want to kind of completely destroy your rear end and be very uncomfortable for quite some time. Now, I believe a lot of you are laughing. It is quite funny, I suppose. I certainly wouldn't try it. David, would you try it? No. David's that was not a slow no either from David. David's answered that with much haste and glee. But you can see the answer, a few of them are back again. So it's worth just sticking around just to see if they try. Look, you can see they're trying to get to where the caterpillar is. Let's have a look. They are actually starting to kind of try and get there. I wonder if this caterpillar will sew more silk around itself to try and defend and to try and make sure that these ants leave it alone. It actually looks like it's feeding at the moment. It looks like it's chomping down on the edge of that leaf and just getting a few nutrients. Maybe it feels very safe and secure inside of the leaf and where its kind of little thing is. And you can see the ants kind of moving around on the edge. Isn't that cool? Sometimes I think these things are amazing. I don't know why. I mean, I know that obviously we get all kinds of crazy cool sightings out here, but it's sometimes so nice just to stop and look at the smaller things. I really enjoy insects. I find them absolutely fascinating, and the ability on bushwalk and the job that our camera operators can do in terms of bringing you incredibly close visuals of these guys as they do these kind of things, for me is absolutely insane. So I always love seeing the detail that we can get out of these things, and watching the ecosystem and the battles that rage between insects are just as fascinating as the kind of, the whole dynamic between lion and leopard and the prey animals that they have. This is just on a much smaller scale. Right, now we're going to carry on, I think. We'll probably leave these guys to themselves. In the meantime, we're going to send you to Steve, and he's busy watching. It sounds like the noisiest creature that exists on this planet.
Just in time. He's just gotten up and started moving. It's always quite funny when you're trying to film an insect that's on the end of a branch and he doesn't want to stop moving. Well, there he is. Tingana in the road, walking directly on Mvubu Road, and who knows where he's going to go. He might turn in and go to Galago, but he might also walk straight out into the north, Mbufusuk. But he's definitely... Can you see how he turns and looks? Now, by a track, you can actually, if you lose an individual, you can see by the way he's moving there that when he stops, he turns to the left. So his intention is left, So if we were tracking him and we lost him, there's a good chance that he would have gone to the left if you lose his tracks. And now he's just gone and completely thwarted whatever I was talking about by going to the right. But I think he might have smelt something there. Let's go and have a look. But if you've got a leopard that's walking on a straight path like this, and the track keeps sort of like looking to the left, the intention is there. So there's always a very good chance that if you do lose him, that he might be somewhere on that side. He's looking at... I'll show you the track now, but it's not very clear. Just on the speed bump there. There we go. He's weeing like a girl, though. I don't know what's going on. He is urinating without scratching, urinating straight on the ground. He's not being very territorial in his display. He did do a territorial scent marking not so long ago when we first had him after his poo. But, okay, where are you going to go? He's going to come back and he's going to smell his own urine. Tingy, what are you doing, my boy? Now, there's all sorts of things going on in his brain now. Let's see if he does a phlegm and grimace. No, he's not going to do it. He had some really big ticks on the side of his neck there that he's scratching. Let's see if he does a grimace here, folks. If he smells something in the form of urine. You're smelling your own urine, Tingana. What's going on? Yep. He's going to roll in his own urine now. That is very interesting. He's licking it. What are you doing? I'm not quite sure, folks, exactly what's going on here. Oh, that looks fantastic. Yeah. A bit taut. Was it a bit popcorny, Tingana? You can see how his intention is still off to that side where Voyatela Pan is, and there was some Nyala on the other side. There's not too many animals around at the moment as there normally are. Mary, you say ew, indeed, very ew. Up he goes. Where are you going to go, boy? He's quite sort of all over the place this morning. I don't think he quite knows what he's doing. I mean, Jamie heard him calling. See how I was suggesting he'd probably go off to the left if he does go anywhere. That's just something the experience has taught me. If you find a leopard walking with a track that kind of veers to the left, intention is off to the left. So some of you are wondering if he's sick. Well, who knows? He might be, but, you know, I don't understand why he would urinate and then turn around. No, he urinated there and then he licked another spot. So I don't know what that is that he's licked. Looks like a little bit of scat that's been driven over by many a tire. Okay, but he's starting to get into camouflage mode again. He's sneaking into this little bush. He's eating some grass, folks. He wants to regurgitate. He wants to make himself sick. He's just under here, Craigo. Okay, so this is something very characteristic for cats if they want to vomit. They've got a fur ball inside of them. The size of his scat, to me, indicated that he has recently eaten. Because generally when a leopard has eaten, they're generally quite full. The stool size, should I say, is quite large. And when they're very hungry, they get to a point where there's just not really much to come through. so their scat is a little bit smaller in general. But if he has eaten, the last thing we remember him eating was that impala 2 days ago that the lions stole from him yesterday morning sometime. So if he would have ingested some bone and fur, and so cats, dogs alike, you might see this at home with your dogs or your cats. My cat always used to eat grass and then come and vomit right on my carpet. It was always very, very distressing. And so that seems to be what he's doing. He hasn't suddenly become a vegetarian. He just knows that by eating some of the grass, there's a very good chance it's going to cause him to vomit up whatever it is that might be kind of sticking in his throat. Maybe he thought by licking whatever scat that was on the ground would have invoked the same reaction. Definitely would have for all of us. Okay, well, while we wait for Tingana to deal with his morning emetic, let's go up to the Masai Mara where Isaac has found many, many little creatures.
What we have here is one of the most sophisticated, most organized military in the ant kingdom. We have the stridulating ants, and they're all on a mission. You see them over here? These are the last few, but if you walk all the way here, you'll see the most are over here. What happened here, they have raided a termite mound, and already now taking the trophies to their den. These are the biggest enemies to the termites, and they have already gone there and went in and took all the soldiers that tried to fight them, and they're taking them as their food. What happened is very earlier on, one of their own, or two or three, acted as scouts. It went all the way and found the termite mound, where it found out that the termite mound was active, then went back all the way to its den. By leaving a pheromone on the ground, it is able to lead that military and army all the way back to the termite mound, where they kill and attack the soldiers, then take them as their food. One of the most amazing and most organized ant that I know over here. We call it shui shui. It does have a bite, and when disturbed, it will bite. The bite is actually slightly, itchy. If you're allergic to it, it can prolong, but it cannot kill you. And they're actually quite efficient, and they are one of those few ants that feed on termites. So already they've had their breakfast and they've had their bounty. It's a pity that I didn't want to disturb them. They're quite fair. Most of them are carrying termites in their, mandibles, their pincers, and they're taking them as a trophy. This area here is quite different. Apart from the ants, we do have plenty and plenty of animals all scattered all around. We have some vultures on some trees. I don't know what they've been feeding on. And then we have toppies in the plains. So we're gonna, be sharing a few things. On that tree there, you will see, let's see. In that tree there, it's quite a distance away, I see some vultures. And those vultures, I don't know what they're waiting for. From a distance, I can see that the African white-backed vultures and maybe Ruppel's griffon. Over there, I do have toppies. You can tell here the grass is shorter, and everybody loves the short grass, so they're enjoying it. Carlson, you're asking about the Egyptian vulture? It's one of the most rarest bird, over on these sides of the world. There are only very few, and a very handful have been seen. Actually, this year I don't think any have been seen in Mara. Last year, one of guides in a place called Naboito saw one, and everybody flocked there to see one. They're quite rare over here. We don't see them that often. If you want to see them, you have to go very far north of Kenya. That's where I see them the most, a place called Turkana. I do see them there more than here. Yeah, those are the plains of the Mara. This is very open, ideal for the fastest cut. Yeah, while I continue scanning the plains, I'll link you all the way down to South Africa, where Steve has got something for you guys.
Well, I think hopefully you'll find something on the plains, and hopefully that Egyptian vulture will be around somewhere. Now, we're sitting staring over a string of stars flower. Well, I would say call it a bush at this stage. It's a massive version of a string of stars. And what you often find on string of stars, funny enough, is right over here is some crimson-spotted footmen that are busy copulating. It seems like love is in the air today and everyone is busy doing it. But there's two of them. One's facing kind of towards you guys and one's facing away from you. Now, these little butterfly, or moths should I say, diurnal moths, are absolutely beautiful. They're one of the most pretty kind of insects that we get out here, with that incredible little reds and blacks on that cream wing, and then they've got a beautiful yellow head with a bright, also sort of big black eye, and that really is very, very cool to see. So I thoroughly enjoy watching these guys, and so we were just kind of walking along and managed to spot them. And I know there's lots of you that are big fans of the moths and the various kind of butterflies that we see out here, so it's always nice just to stop and watch this. And so what will happen is once these two kind of break apart, then the female will end up laying eggs, and I'm not sure if she'll lay it on the string of stars yet. I'm still trying to figure it out. There's a lot of kind of information on these guys that is not really easy to kind of find, but I think as far as I would understand it, she'd probably lay her eggs on some sort of host plant, and she'll do it normally on the underside of a leaf, and that will allow them to be able to kind of hatch and then from there feed off the host plant. And in fact, are these eggs right here actually? Hold on, David. I think I've found some eggs actually. So let's have a look here. There we go. Are those eggs or is that a caterpillar? I can't see nicely. I just see a kind of a whole bunch of markings.
I see another caterpillar on the stalk there.
Is it a caterpillar on the stalk? So that's a very cool one. Is that the one that's yellow and black?
Yep.
Yes, okay, cool. So I thought it was eggs from afar. The angle that I've got looks like little eggs, but it's actually a caterpillar, which is very cool. Now, I wonder if it's a caterpillar for these footmen. It would be interesting to know. Sorry, there's moving everything around a little bit, but it would be interesting to know if that is actually indeed the caterpillar for them. But you often find kind of eggs sometimes, if you just look closely, you can find them on the undersides of leaves and on the stems of the flowers as well. Jeff, what would happen if a human ate that caterpillar? Well, I mean, it's quite brightly colored, so it probably wouldn't kill you, but it probably is very distasteful. The thing is a lot of these kind of caterpillars and insects that hold some sort of toxin or are distasteful generally they don't have enough to actually kill us. They make us ill, but they won't kill us. There are obviously some that are horrible things that will be able to kind of, I suppose they're not horrible things, but they can do horrible things to you. So if you ingested them, you could potentially die from them. But I think that caterpillar, you probably find it wouldn't be the most tastiest thing, but you'd be okay. I don't think you would suffer any real kind of ill consequences from actually feeding off that particular caterpillar there. If you found it had really bright reds and blacks, then probably is one that you need to stay away. Also, the host plant can help you with that. So something like a monarch or something like that feeds off toxic milkweed plants, that would be something that you would want to avoid, whereas something like a string of stars is not toxic to us, and so you'll probably be alright, because a lot of caterpillars actually sequester their toxins, or insects can sequester their toxins from what they actually feed off at the larval stage. Good. I think we shall leave our mating individuals to themselves. I feel awkward when we stop and kind of watch them for as long as we do. I suppose they've got things to do, and so we shall not keep them much longer. Now, Herbie also said to me that he's found a butterfly, so we're going to try and see if we can go and find said butterfly. It's a bit of a walk away. David, you need a hand up there. Let's give David a hand up, because David apparently went to gym yesterday, and so his legs are feeling a little bit kind of wobbly, apparently. David, did you hear that? Lots of compliments on your camera work. Yes, well done, David. You're obviously excelling today in your camera work field, which is good. It's always nice when the cam-ups do all these kind of insects because you can get some crazy cool shots of them. Herbie, do you still have your butterfly? Yes, so Herbie still has his butterfly, so we're going to try and see if we can get closer. Kirsty's giving David lots of trouble and saying for once he's actually producing the goods. Now, I don't want to disturb the butterfly, so I'm just going to walk slowly towards where we are. Herbie's pointing and I don't see it. Oh, there, I see it now. Thanks, Herbie. I was just looking on the wrong part of the bush. But there we go. Just in there's what we call a dark-webbed ringlet. And so these guys have been quite numerous of late. We've been seeing quite a lot of them. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful specimen. You find that they have this incredible kind of black webbing, I suppose, which is where the dark-webbed parts of the name. And the ringlet comes from those little orange rings that you see running down the edge with a little silver kind of dot inside of the ring itself. They really are very, very pretty underneath. In fact, on top, not nearly as pretty when their wings are open. I think their underneath or their underside is far more kind of striking. And you'll find that that's often the case. A lot of butterflies have a lot kind of more vivid markings. If you think of some of the Charaxes, their undersides are beautiful in comparison to their top sides, and probably find it's something to do with the way that they kind of camouflage. So a lot of you would have kind of seen those blacks and things like that, but on the top side it's actually more brown with those little orange spots that run through, and the spots on top are also quite a dark brown as opposed to that silver that's underneath. But very, very cool to see. And actually when you see these guys and their wings under a microscope, incredible structures. It's almost like little feathers that they've got that coat their wings. It's quite amazing to actually see them. They remind me of little table forks all packed together over the wing structure, which allows them this kind of feathery sort of look and appearance to them. Very, very pretty butterfly, though. You can tell butterfly straight away just because of the way that it's sitting. Unlike the moth that has its wings kind of covering it and in a sort of triangular shape, these guys have it up. But what I wanted to show you quickly is just what it looks like when its wings are open. So for those of you who don't know or wanted the name as well, dark-webbed ringlet. There we go, and that's what it looks like when it's kind of got its wings open. Not nearly as pretty. Good. Right, we're going to carry on. Hold on, David, you've got a spider.
Oh, no.
There we go. Can you see it?
Yeah.
Oh, there it's gone. It's ballooning away from us. Let's get it down. There we go. So Spider is saved. David is saved. In the meantime, let's send you across to Tingana and see what else he's going to eject from his body during the course of this morning.
Well, David, your legs, I suppose that is the way it works after some exercise. And the spider ballooning away, I would love to be a spider to be able to balloon away. While Tingana licks himself under the tree here, we've got a bird. Another one for you, Teresa. I hope this is a new one. Hear him calling there, the African grey hornbill, one of the whistling hornbills. So nice to see. You don't often actually get to catch them calling. A very characteristic call out here. Very high-pitched. Demarcating his territory. Probably his wife or girlfriend for the time being is locked away in a dungeon within a tree covered in mud, and she's not able to escape. She's being fed by him, insects, caterpillars, and very interesting with the hornbills. All the sort of medium-sized hornbills that I know of all lock the female gets locked inside of a tree cavity, and there's just a little slit that only the hornbill's beak can really go through. Female lays her eggs inside. They call asynchronistic egg laying. So she will start sitting on the eggs after they are laid. Oh, Laura Moores, your first African grey hornbill. Well, very good. We do try and get them on camera, but they often don't do what they do. They often just fly and we never get them. But there's one. They are very pretty, in fact. And so with the hornbills, they will lay their eggs and then the female will start incubating the moment they're laid, which means that you get a different hatching rate of the different eggs. So you quite often get 2, sometimes even 3 chicks. But hatching a day or even 2 days apart means that the first chick to hatch dominates all of the feeding, and once the third chick is hatched, or the second one, the female will break herself out of her clay feces enclave inside the tree, and then will reseed it again, and then they will feed, the male and female together, and will then feed the chicks that are inside. And in very, very good years, there's plenty of food around, plenty of insects, as Tristan is showing you on his bushwalk, and that will feed. Sometimes 3 chicks will survive, but quite often there's not enough for all 3, so the biggest and the strongest will successfully move forward. Excuse me, before breaking their own way out and then taking the plunge and becoming a young sabadult. Very good. I hope that is a new bird for some of you. It is definitely one of the coolest birds out here. The hornbills are very, very cool birds and very common. You find the yellow-billed, the red-billed, both the southern yellow and the southern red and the grey all over the place. Teresa, my pleasure. I do quite enjoy birding myself. It is something I really, really enjoy doing. Actually, that's why I've always got a pair of these on my neck. But the hornbills, because there's so many around, just goes to show you that their breeding strategy is very successful. It's one of those unique sort of breeding strategies that obviously it's to protect themselves against snakes and monitor lizards who can't really get into that hole, that little keyhole. And even the African harrier hawk, which is a nest specialist, is probably not even able to get inside that hole either, to snatch up the female, who, when she lays her eggs, will have a complete molt. She'll lose all of her flight feathers, which means she's completely at the liberty of her husband or boyfriend to bring back food. And if he dies because he's perched on top of a tree calling and a raptor takes him out, well, there's a very good chance that she might not survive, because first of all, she does have the potential to break out of the chamber that she's in, but if she doesn't have any flight feathers, she's going to be pretty bad at flying. He will go through just a sort of partial molt, losing feather by feather over time, not going through a full molt. So while she's in there, he's working very, very hard. And it's a reason why hornbills at the beginning of the breeding season, the male will provide the female with nuptial gifts. He'll arrive with all sorts of insects and grasshoppers and show her, look, what a good provider I am, because she has to trust him. She has to get locked away for about a month or so while she waits for her feathers. And a month of not eating, I don't know if any of you ever tried to do that. Lock yourself in a room for a month and hopefully someone feeds you. It's not something most people are too keen to just have a go at. And if you did do it, you'd make sure that whoever's going to provide you with the food is a good chef and a good provider. You don't want to find out afterwards, once you've molted and laid your eggs, that actually Daddy is not the best at it. He's giving us a proper show today. That's the tree that he's in that Tingana was under earlier. And a couple of weeks ago, Jamie had Hosanna in that tree. So, very nice, famous, popular, should I say, not famous, marula tree. But here Tingana is still under the tree. He's giving himself a proper little bit of a bath. He's got the leg up, cleaning all the bits. He has yet to regurgitate. That we've noticed anyway. Sitting in a nice shade of a red bush willow. And he's giving himself a proper little cleaning there. Good boy, Tingana. Keep cleaning yourself. Hopefully you are not coming down with some form of illness. But anyway, while we contemplate Tingana some more, let's go up to the Masai Mara with some very cool birds at Isaac.
Aha! Here we have the grey-crested crane, a very beautiful, very elaborate bird. It is the national bird of Uganda, but very widespread through East and Central Africa. This is a pair, they pair for life. It is very difficult at a distance like this to tell between male and females, and right now I can tell they're not breeding. When they are breeding, usually the male would stay very close to the female, and then he's got this quite beautiful, elaborate, interesting dance where he bobs his tails up and down, and then jumps in the air, spread his wings, and turns a 360-degree turn in the air, and up and down, and again he does the same. And if the female thinks that he is being very impressive, then she will present herself to him. They got all different kind of colors, like you can see, brown, yellow, russet color, beautiful crest, gray, white. You know, they have all those beautiful colors, and a small reddish wattle just on the neck there, on the throat. Yes, they are, and they're always together. So they're not breeding at the moment. This is one place where they do well, and here they're feeding on small insects and also seeds. It's one of those birds that you cannot go past. You have to stop and take a look because it's so beautiful, the colors and the way it looks with that beautiful crest. Yeah. You can tell, it's all a beautiful area here. Our big boys, the mad boys, the dagger boys, you'd call them, the lone rangers at the back there, the Cape Buffalo, are all resting. It's beautiful and sunny. It's getting warm, and so they're enjoying the morning sun. Yes, and while these guys are drying themselves, I'll link you down to Juma where Tristan has got a nice caterpillar.
Well, hopefully they'll dry out, and we're still hanging around with all kinds of different insects, and we've got now probably one of the most beautiful kind of greenish yellow caterpillars I've seen in a long time. They've got that kind of stripe, a sort of yellowy stripe with a black stripe, and then on top is this sort of verdant green, as David so eloquently put it. David, you flabbergasted me with your knowledge of the English language when you threw that out. Yes, flabbergasted. When you did so. So it is a beautiful, beautiful specimen. And there's quite a few of them on the center at the moment. They're all kind of busy eating and busy sort of getting all kinds of nutrients out of it. They've absolutely hammered this bush. There's a couple of them actually on here. And the entire kind of thing is stripped. And if we look, I'll just lift this particular leaf here because there's one on there. But you can see these leaves have all been stripped completely bare, just to the midrib that is left. And these guys have absolutely hammered it. And so they'll be feeding off this, and then eventually you'll find that they are going to kind of get a little bit bigger and be able to and then start to pupate. And it'll be interesting to see what comes out of it. Herbie reckons that it might be the African vagrants that are that this is the caterpillar for, but I'm not 100% sure, if I'm honest. I don't actually know. So I always try and trust in Herbie's knowledge. He often knows a lot of things that are quite intriguing, so I'm not sure, but that's what he reckons they are. But either way, absolutely beautiful looking caterpillars, that's for sure. I just like all the little black spots on them and the kind of coloration that they've got. They've almost got this sort of bronzy green sheen. They almost look a little bit like, they remind me a bit of the kind of green coloration that you get on a Diedrich cuckoo. That sort of coppery green kind of color that you get. I mean, these guys don't have that copper in it, but they've got that sort of yellow tinge to the green and kind of makes it almost shine a little bit, and then those little black spots. Really very, very pretty. Now, there was one other kind of caterpillar that we had in this area that we saw a little bit earlier, and David, I'm going to give you a kind of hand up once again, because Dave gets into all kinds of incredible positions to get these images. So I just want to go this way quickly and show you something, because it was really interesting when we saw it. Herbie was showing it to me just now, and I've just got to find which bush it was in. It was in one of these. Oh, here it is here. Now, if you come and have a look, oh, it's lost it now. Oh, there we go. How cool is this? So this caterpillar is the same as the one we saw earlier. It's just a much bigger version. But you see that that caterpillar is exuding a green kind of bubble out of its face. You see that? So that is a defense mechanism. It didn't have it when we first approached, but it's now exuding that out in a way to try and probably ward us off. I wouldn't be surprised that that kind of stuff that they're excreting is probably foul tasting, probably has quite a chemical kind of smell to it, and that may be why it will deter others from eating it, but it does it instantly. So if I show you maybe this one here, you see there's a caterpillar here that doesn't look like it's done anything. I don't know, Dave, if you can get your camera in there before I just turn the leaf a little bit. So it's got no bubble at all. Let's see if when I do it, it does it. There you go. See, there's a black bubble of liquid coming out. So this one's got the dark one. The other one's got green, and this one's got dark. And so it depends on, I think, probably what this caterpillar has been feeding on as to what color comes out. But they secrete it. And the only reason we know this is because we were walking along and Herbie spotted them and he kind of pointed to me, what is that? And I couldn't see it. And he moved the leaf for me. And then this bubble of green just went kind of out of its face. And it was a bit startling when green stuff comes out of the face of a caterpillar. You always kind of think to yourself, oh, I don't know why. David, you also have that thing that, like, things that are going to burn your skin are luminous green. So Joy, you say that you think I'm finding things down low on purpose because Dave has got weak legs today. I'm really not, actually. I'm trying not to, at least. I'm trying to kind of find interesting things, but it just happens that everything is quite low down. It's the amazing thing about walking quarantine. I think we've done probably 100 meters and we've covered maybe, I don't even know how many different insects we've seen in that 100 meters, and we've missed a lot. And there's actually another one that's right here, which is one of actually my favorite moths that we get out here. And they don't have a glorious job, do they? I mean, lots of you will know straight away what this is. I saw it on my last bushwalk. But there is a bird-dropping moth. So I kid you not that is its name. It's not a lie. And it is meant to mimic a bird dropping so that it does not get eaten. And it does a pretty sterling effort in mimicking that bird dropping. And so basically what you would have here is, in a bird dropping, you've got two parts to it. So you've got the white section of a bird dropping, which is basically, obviously, what this moth is mimicking is this back part here. Now, that would be the uric acid or the urine for the bird. Remember, they have a cloaca, so they can't separate the two kind of substances. And the darker part that you see there would be the actual food particles that they are injecting. Now, a lot of you might think to me, well, this is actually really a piece of bird dropping, but I'm going to try and just see if I can open the leaf out, and you'll be able to see the actual kind of face. See it there? So straight in front, you'll be able to actually see the eyes of this moth, which is very cool. So now, Kirsty's telling me you looked at one under the microscope with Jamie and you said it looked awesome. They are incredible little moths, aren't they? That camouflage is unbelievable. And you often find them sitting on Waltherias. This is a perfect plant to kind of find them on. But very, very cool. And an incredible kind of camouflage. It just goes to show you that sometimes mimicking poo is a safety strategy and can actually work, and you can survive from being a poo mimicker. Kids at home, don't mimic poo. Your moms will probably hate me. Anyway, right, so we're going to carry on. We're going to see what else we can find. In the meantime, though, let's send you back across to sleepy Tingana.
I think I got the end of that. Don't mimic poo. That's very interesting. There is actually a bird-dropping spider, a spider that looks like bird poo. I think it's quite interesting. Somehow manages to escape detection. Unless you're an animal that eats poo, then you're pretty caught out then. Well, Tingana hasn't done much since you were last here. He's finished giving himself a thorough grooming, and now he's doing what he does best, and that is having a nap. But Tristan's showing you all of those caterpillars and all the insects on a walk. That's why this time of year our birds do the breeding. And that's why we have cuckoos through here. Cuckoos feed almost exclusively on caterpillars, because there are so many of them around, all on the trees, and all the butterflies coming out, all the larval food, and a very important food source for cuckoos and other birds alike. Crescent Moon Tingana is indeed Hosana's father. He is he is the father of Kalamba as well, and we're not too sure about Tamba. I mentioned Tamba the other day, and Tristan said, be careful, we're not 100% sure. So I wasn't around those days, but definitely Hosanna is his son, and, well, they behave like a very interesting pair do. I've never seen two male leopards behave quite like Hosanna and Tingana do, and I think it's just due to the fact that we spend so much time with them. We document so much that we get to see some of the things of the secret life of leopards that is really unknown to most people around the world. I mean, you try and read in books about the interactions that we see here, and it's unwritten. It isn't written in any scientific journal. It isn't written down anywhere, any behavioral guide that I've ever seen. So we are filming and documenting history, and probably has been going on for a very long time. We just don't know. I mean, how many times last year did Tristan have 3, sometimes 4 leopards in one sighting? Ridiculous. I mean, I got Hosanna and Tingana in my interview drive. So that was very special for me. And then it happens again and again, and you just think, okay, well, I thought that was a unique experience, but I think I remember saying it in my interview drive, and many of the viewers were like, oh, no, this happens. And I was like, well, I've never seen it before. It was a very cool sighting, Kirsty. I remember Faith was directing. Tingana was sitting at a very small watering hole, a little pan, and I suddenly saw his behavior change, and out of nowhere this nonchalant young male leopard just came and walked down and just behaved so super casual. And, well, Hosanna's not far from where we are now, and we were hoping maybe he would just materialize out of the bushes here and come and give Dad a little bit of love. Well, as much love as leopards are known to give each other. There's not too much. Oh, Craigo, we've got some vultures or some birds of prey in the sky up ahead. Have a look. They're doing a little bit of circling. See if Craig can get them in shot. We're not missing anything with Tingana there. So what you're seeing now is a vortex. You're seeing the birds are getting thermals. The heat is slowly generating on the floor, and it's causing a thermal to rise. And you can easily see that by the way the birds are moving in a circle. Vultures have got very, very broad wings, and their primary feathers, the fingers right at the end, allow them to bleed off the air. So as the air currents are warming up and forming like a circular updraft, they're able to prevent themselves from getting too much turbulence by just that little tip of the wing feather there, just bleeding off, just teasing the wind off of them so that it lifts them up and just keeps them going. And it's called, the collective name for vultures is called a kettle of vultures, which is very cool. I always thought that a vortex of vultures always sounded so much cooler. But seeing this in the early morning doesn't mean we need to rush to that area there to see if we can find the kill, because it's hard to tell from where we're looking and how we're viewing, but it is steadily moving across the landscape, that sort of upward draft. And all those vultures are trying to do is to get some altitude so as to move out a great distance and then to find some food that hopefully lions or leopards have left for them on the ground. But anyway, from myself and Craig, it's been a wonderful morning. I hope you enjoyed it. We're going to go over to Tristan to say goodbye.
It has been a good morning. I mean, obviously we've had a bit of something for everyone. Like I say, we've been doing insects, we've been doing big animals, it's been birds, it's been, I think, quite a nice kind of mix of what's been going on. Obviously, for us, Hosanna sighting was both good and bad in some respects for me. I don't know, I didn't really want to be as close as we were. So, you know, it's obviously, unfortunately, once we were in the situation, we had to just deal with it, and that was the best we had. We had no cover or anything like that, so not ideal. But hopefully Hosanna will forgive us a little bit later, and he'll allow us to kind of be forgiven for being as close as we were. Like I say, we just bumped into him, and then his curiosity was probably part of the problem too in this beginning, because he came closer as well. So anyway, we'll try and rectify this afternoon. We'll go and have a word with him and try to find him this afternoon. Anyway, you can see there's a African vagrant that David is busy looking at the moment. Now, this African vagrant was caught in a spider web, but I think it's managed to break free and is now just taking a bit of a rest, because it was fluttering about all over the place and maybe has exhausted itself himself from trying to escape the clutches of that particular spider web. And it's a big butterfly, and the spider web that it flew into was quite small. So, with its wing stroke and its power that it has, I think it was able to actually break open or break off of that spider web and actually survive. But they're really beautiful kind of butterfly. They've got that sort of greenish white, I suppose it's greenish white that you would call it, and so that's the kind of caterpillar that Herbie reckons these guys belong to. So the caterpillar belongs to these guys, whichever way you want to put it, but very cool little insect. Well, butterfly, should I say? I suppose it is an insect, but really nice this morning. We've had lots and lots of different insects just on quarantine, which has been fantastic. I always thoroughly enjoy spending time with a lot of insects, and it just goes to show when you get a bit of overcast conditions, you can often have insects that are quite relaxed. Anyway, that's time of the day where we are going to say goodbye to all of you. I hope that you've had a wonderful morning both in the Mara and here on Djuma, and enjoyed all the different sites that we've managed to bring you. It certainly has been a fun morning for us in many respects, especially the kind of insect side of things. So from Steve, myself and Isaac, we'll see you all this afternoon for our sunset safari.